couples who don't have children are as good as dead? Is that what you're saying, Jesse? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, see, Neil Smith also asked you the same thing. Hello, Chip from British Columbia, Canada. That's awesome, Scott. That's beautiful. I haven't been there. I've been to British Columbia. I've been to. I don't think that's British Columbia, right? British Columbia is the west side of it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, my geography is pretty bad.
Okay.
Which canal are you sitting on? That's a good question. Herengracht. Herengracht. Jump in. Enjoy.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Just give it that. And then we're gonna go to back to okay. Okay. Get rid of all that. Tell red I am ready. Okay, so we are just waiting for him to come back. Told him to give me about 20 minutes. And so yeah, we'll just wait for him to come back and then we'll get started. Okay. Okay. Where is he at? Come on, Red. Quit being so flaky. It's 20 minutes, dude. 20 minutes. That's all I asked for. People, man. What the fuck? I wonder if you guys are going to be able to see. No, it doesn't look like that you guys are able to see the avatar list, but it's okay. It's whatever. While we're waiting, I guess we could watch Chip. Or we can watch 40-year-old vegan.
Think about it. You're not breeding animals into existence, Serenity. You're not having them put into gas chambers. You're not having them shot in the face. And even if there was some magical way, like say they euthanize cats and dogs, they give them an injection and at their end of life cycle, or maybe it's humane to put them down, right? They don't do that to these animals. Look at what happens to the male chicks. All the male chicks are grinded up alive. Every single one of them are grinded up into a giant blender or put into a garbage bag and suffocated or put into a gas chamber. Like, really look into this, Serenity. Please go watch the 3-minute movie challenge below in my description, or please go watch the movie Dominion and don't stop watching it. Watch the whole thing through so you can get a sense and an idea of what takes place to these innocent animals that have done nothing wrong to you. Warner, what's there to save? You tell me. I think you're the one that needs saving, bro. Pretty much needing saving. Yeah, Carl, you've seen all the movies. What movie have you seen? Tell me the first the first animal is that are killed in Dominion the movie. Yeah, you're at the processing plant, right? Do you work on the kill floor? Are you the one that shoots animals in the face? Are you the one that cuts their heads off, jabs them with your knife? Crank, huh? There's a video called What Killing Animals Does to Your Brain. It's on YouTube. What Killing Animals Does to Your Brain on YouTube, Crank. Go watch it, and you can see what's happened to you, just like so many other workers and so many people that have taken lives. Jacob, so why is there abuse? There one shot, no suffering. I was on a cattle farm, no GMO. You don't pressure them into feeding. Like, Jacob, that makes no sense. They still get shot and put into like gas chambers and electrocuted, and then they're killed. Well, no, that's not how it works, Serenity. Serenity, think about how many animals are fed. If you're feeding 92 billion land animals plants, if you think about that, how many plants do they eat compared to cutting out the middleman, so to say? So if we stop feeding all those animals, giving them water, giving them...
Hey. Hey. How's it going?
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
You're breaking up.
Oh.
That's much better. Can you hear me as well? Great. How was your day today? Oh, nice. Similar time for me as well. Right. I now have trouble. I'm a very light sleeper. I don't really sleep very well through the night. Not sure why. Yeah. Yeah. So the proposition is that veganism is not practical or pragmatic. It will not feed the entire population, the current population or a future population. And the end result would be mass starvation.
Okay. Mass starvation.
Correct.
Okay. So, if the same case were true for like ending human slaves, or yeah, like ending human slavery, would that justify getting rid of or would that justify the continuation of human slaves?
So the only way that would be possible is to say that machines don't exist, or there's no draft animals. So you would have to be in this unicorn hypothetical scenario where you flew in on your unicorn, but they can't be used as a draft animal to your human slaves on some green and blue planet. Um,
That's not necessarily
you know,
true. That was a huge concern for, and it's only showing to
it
be
never
true.
was a concern.
Yeah,
It
it
never was
was,
a
and it's
concern.
only showing to be true because we're having to give more humans more housing, more humans more uh, independent farming, more humans more like clothing that was not recycled, is because like slaves had recycled clothing, slaves had, all these things were contributing factors to what is the
But
end.
the government would not care about it. It would be 1.6% of the population that actually were vested into slavery and were benefiting from it. It would not have been the entire federal government, because it doesn't matter if people are free or they're slaves or whatever. The work is getting done. People are purchasing things, goods, and the gross domestic product would still be the same. You wouldn't be decreasing the gross domestic product by
It's not the
freeing
product,
or
it's
enslaving people.
new land that is having to be
Well,
distributed
why would the
for.
government? I mean, why would the government be involved with that? I mean, why are they
Well, that's
clothing
bec-
people? Are they feeding people?
well, no, because given the freedom to people, people are going to be taking up a lot more space and using up a
That's
lot
okay
more
with the government.
resources.
Yeah, that's okay. That the government
But
doesn't care
you're
about
worried
that.
about mass starvation and mass
Correct.
environmental damage, which
Yeah,
is a
there wouldn't be less potatoes.
result. No, which
Yeah,
is a result of freeing human slaves, because human slaves eat like
you're grasping at straws here.
I'm not
There
grasping at
wasn't a
straws.
there wasn't a decrease in gross domestic product. The commodities market didn't bottom out because
What do
human
you mean? There
cattle
was
and
like several
free
depressions that happened after slavery.
after emancipation. What were they called?
The Great
You
Depression.
talking about like the 1920s, and you're correlating that with slavery, or emancipation?
It may be a contributing factor, yeah.
I don't. You'd have to really dive deep on that one because I can't prove that at all, and I don't think you can either.
I don't think you can prove any of the facts that you're going to be spewing neither.
Well, you haven't heard them yet. Very presumptuous of you.
Okay. Well, anyway, so
Okay,
in a
in a
hypothetical,
hypothetical,
yeah.
unicorn. I want a unicorn in the hypothetical,
Okay, you can have your
and I
unicorn.
have a laser gun.
Let's
But
say
I
the
also have magic
unicorn is the
wand.
one who's the deciding factor, okay? So
Yeah,
in this
exactly. So you're saying free
hypothetical,
my unicorn.
okay, so no, the unicorn is the one who is freeing. They are the supreme being, okay? So
Okay,
that
and the
they're the
unicorn are the one. Okay, so they're riding on me.
yeah, they're
I'm not
the
riding on the
well, no,
unicorn.
nobody's
Well, I
riding
can't
on
carry
anybody.
1,100
Nobody's
pounds.
riding on anybody. He's just this unicorn is this alien that came from outer space and started
Uh,
changing civilization, okay? And said, you know
Why is
what,
he
I'm
a plant
superior, so
alien?
I'm gonna
Be,
dictate. Um,
Neil Tyson deGrasse did did the whole plants. What if alien plant-based plant life form came from another planet and saw you eating, their fruits and their vegetables and their babies, and they were mad. I mean, he actually did. He put
okay,
that in his
so
book.
the question is if the same were true, right?
Mm.
If the same were true, that humans, emancipating human slaves, were to be as detrimental as you are claiming, um, emancipating non-human animal slavery. Would that justify
You want me to
the
correlate the two?
continuation?
Yeah.
Well, like
Well, are we eating
hypothetically,
the slaves?
yeah,
Are we eating
yeah.
the slaves?
Hypothetically, we would be eating the slaves,
Well,
or
the
we would.
unicorns would be eating us human slaves.
Hold on. No, the unicorn is going to be some dictator of what is moral and what isn't. Okay, that's
Okay.
yeah.
So who's eating who? So you have
Humans
freed
would be humans. Humans would be eating humans. Humans would be using human skin for several different reasons. We would be using animals for or using humans for whatever reason we deem fit.
Okay.
As we
So this is
do,
just a cannibal planet, a hypothetical cannibal
it's not even a
slave planet.
hypothetical. Like the when we did have
Oh,
human
people do
slave.
people?
No, when humans did have slaves, they
Mhm.
did eat other humans. So
The slaves were eating humans?
the slaves potentially did eat other slaves, you know, because they didn't want to
Oh
waste.
my.
Yeah, they didn't want to waste money.
Yeah, don't waste a dead slave. Throw it in
Yeah,
the pot.
yeah,
Is this recorded anywhere?
yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Look at history, dude. I'll provide
Look at the. Is it called The History with a
the
capital T?
history books. You
The History books. Okay.
yeah.
So when I'm thumbing through the history books, it says, you've got cannibalism amongst slaves.
Yeah, I
It's
believe.
common practice.
Yeah, especially within the Pacific Islands.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So yeah, the Asians had black African descendant slaves, and they were eating.
While they enslaved each other. We're talking human.
So now
It's not a like.
Asian on Asian.
It's not a race. It doesn't have to be a race thing, right?
No, it doesn't at all. Anybody can enslave anybody.
Yeah,
Correct.
Exactly. So.
And then, but all slaves.
So, but the point is.
What you're saying.
Yeah. So the point is, I like if it were going to be detrimental, right? Would that justify? Hold on. If it were, would it justify the continuation of slavery?
So either everybody starves to death, or somebody has to be a slave. That's what you're saying?
You're saying everybody is gonna starve to death if we all go vegan?
I would say a good percentage of people.
Okay, what is a good percentage?
I would have to look at, we were doing a little bit of a math thing the other day, and it boiled down to you could possibly, being there no blight, no disasters, no.
Okay, let's lowball it for 25.
So it's like 1.6, I think, kilograms of grain per person.
Correct? Let's lowball the percentage to like 15% of human civilization to 80.
No, I'd say
high.
more than that.
Hold on.
Closer to half.
Okay, and let's highball it for 85%. Well, that's and then
85%.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a little high, but
yeah.
I would say it's close to.
So the low ball would be 15, and the high ball would be to 85, right?
Well, that's a little high, but I mean, you have to look at.
Well, that's why I said high ball.
Wise, calories from proteins and calories from fat. Animal agriculture is about half. Half of all calories. When you combine dairy, eggs, you don't use the lean meat scenario. You're actually eating the fat, and then seafood, of course. When you look at that, half of our calories come from animal products.
Okay.
It's incredibly calorie dense, and then with the fat.
Okay.
And then you look at the protein; it's over 50% of all of our protein. Complete protein is coming from an animal source. Now, this is a global thing.
Okay.
So even though you're eating a very small amount of meat, it's what's called a concentrated food source. So it's nutrient dense, it's concentrated. I think everybody can agree that animal products are a concentrated source of food.
Okay.
Especially whole dairy milk that hasn't been, homogenized and changed and whatever in any shape or form. These are what babies consume, and they grow rapidly while consuming whole dairy. Eggs as well. Eggs are very sustaining. I post all the time about Egg Wars, which is a 120 million case study about children in India. The ones who are eating eggs are above average, and then the children who are not eating eggs are malnourished. So it's not debatable whether or not animal-derived foods are nutrient dense. They are.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit abstract from what we were initially talking about, but that's fine.
We're talking about starvation.
Right.
Malnutrition is part of starvation.
Okay. So if we're talking about malnutrition as a part of
it has always been a part of it. So like when they're doing
so
studies
you're
in
saying
Gaza
that
right now,
no person who consumes like animal products is malnourished at this point in time?
I'm saying on a global assessment of a plant-only diet, there is shortfalls and pitfalls without supplementation and modification to the diet to make up for the loss of the concentrated food or the nutrient dense food that are derived from animals. That is true. And again, I gave the 120 million case study that is called Egg Wars in India, and it has to do with a feeding the children program where either they're getting eggs or they're not.
Okay, so what I'm asking, and I want you to really pay attention, right? And I would really like an answer on this. Okay, so if the same were true, I'm gonna just assume everything that you were saying is valid, right? We're just gonna assume, because I as far as studies go, I've seen you go through numerous of study battles, and it just doesn't really get anywhere. So,
Oh, well, I didn't write those studies.
Right, but
I'm merely sourcing
would you acknowledge that you've been in plenty of study battles before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, so
I always come out on top because you all only can source plant-based studies. And by the way, I am plant-based.
okay, you are plant-based, but you can.
I am plant-based.
Okay, so like being the plant-based where you mostly eat plants, but you eat some animal products, right?
Correct. It's called flexitarian.
Yeah. So you're flexitarian. Yeah.
So there's vegetarian, lacto, and ovo.
Yeah.
There's vegan, which you are.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm actually writing a whole. I'm actually writing a whole song about this. So I actually am very much aware of what. Yeah.
Great.
So anyway, the question that I was asking, would it justify the continuation of slavery if this said thing was also true? And we'll just
Yeah, because the slaves would die anyways too.
But they wouldn't be bred into existence, right? So,
pretty much figured out how to make more Africans a long time ago.
Well, yeah, but we would try to not we would limit the reproduction of said same. Well, no, they could. Well, no, they would be able to breed themselves, but they wouldn't be breeding by us.
Castrate them because that's what the Barbary did. Like the Islamic slave traders would.
I'm saying that we would let them breed by themselves, and we wouldn't force them to breed together.
Okay, so they can breed on their own.
Yeah.
That's how you get more slaves, is they breed on.
No, they wouldn't be slaves. They would be free people, right? And they would
free people, even better. That's
yeah.
Babies and you're free. That's perfect.
Yeah. So if this would
food, right?
Hold on.
No food.
Okay, so we force people to do our bidding instead of just doing the bidding ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We could theoretically, even with this whole idea that you say that we need these animals, we could theoretically figure out a system that works, right? We could.
I haven't figured one out so far. Enlighten me, please.
Okay, I'm just saying it's possible, right? We are human beings.
Tell me, what are you going to do? Vertical farming?
Well, hold on. Let's just hold on. Theoretically, even if every situation that we have right now, currently, is not going to work. Even if every
When
item.
you say theoretically, that means you have a theory.
Hold
I
on.
asked you what the theory was.
Hold on.
You said, I don't know.
Hold on.
So
Hold on.
that's
Hold
not-
on.
That's hypothetical. That's not theoretical.
Okay.
Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, I do. What I'm saying is if we put our minds together, this is the theory,
Okay.
right? To come up with a certain plan that is unknown to us at the moment.
That's hypothetical. That's not theoretical.
No, in theory we could come up with something because in theory we have done those things multiple times.
Okay.
Hypothetical means that it is like not real. Really, we can come up with something.
Hypothetical is a part of a discovery process. You imagine something and then you make it possible.
Well, that would be a hypothesis, right?
That's
Yeah.
a hypothesis, correct?
Yeah, which I
We're
guess.
learning.
Yeah.
So
So,
hypothetically, we would come up with some unknown way because you joined this whole debate because you were going to shove my face in the sand with the whole of facts, and you were just going to climb all over me and say, this is what we're going to do, we're going to do this and this
oh
and
no,
this,
no, no.
and these things are going to work.
No.
But instead we get into the unicorn debate
No.
about their overlord slavery
No.
masters.
I want to know your. So I am getting into your morality of to say that it would be
What
okay.
does morality have to do with functionality?
Okay, because I'm saying, does morality trump, or does functionality trump morality? Like, does it?
Well, I believe that food is a moral imperative, so they coincide.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is if we had to cause oppression in order to make society functional, would that justify the oppression?
We already do that.
That's not what I asked. Should we?
Yes. Yeah, we already do that. Yes, we should.
Okay. We should because we already do. We do a lot of things that we should not.
We should because the repercussions of not doing it, nobody wants to go to work. Nobody wants to clean themselves or brush their teeth or go to bed on time or do anything. We're all a bunch of children. And so if somebody's not in charge of us, it would be havoc. Nobody would have electricity or homes or food or anything. Nobody wants to sit on a boat coming from China shipping you stuff so you can talk on them currently. Nobody wants to sit.
Well, that's not true. I actually would love to work on a cargo ship. I think it would be.
You don't.
Well, that's just because I currently.
Hypothetically, it would be the time of your life, but probably realistically, it would be miserable.
Oh no,
Nobody loves their job to the point where they just want to do it. It's like who have you ever met that's like, my job is like heaven?
Again, I would actually like to do something like that. I just live in Utah where it's not a possibility at the moment.
Fine. You don't have to dox yourself, but
yeah, I don't care.
You play a lot of video games, right? What if somebody took that away from you because they did not want to create it, manufacture it?
That's fine.
Stock the shelves. Your toilet doesn't flush anymore. There's no more water because somebody doesn't want to do that. Do you understand how society works? I mean, through systematic.
Yeah, that is also a hypothetical.
Everybody's being oppressed. That's not a hypothetical.
Yeah, if somebody didn't want, that is also a hypothetical. If somebody didn't want to do plumbing, you're initiating a hypothetical where people don't like to do plumbing.
Correct. It's not a hypothetical. It's a reality. Plumbers don't want to go and clean up poop and all that kind of stuff. And
dude, I know several people who do plumbing for free because they enjoy.
Love the poop. Well, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, so like it is a hypothetical. Like I know several people.
Okay.
They do it for free.
Everybody loves picking your fruit. They love picking, stocking shelves. Everybody's happy elves, doing what they want to do, and nobody's, forced into doing anything. That would be great. That would be fantastic.
Okay.
If we could live in a world that did not have animal agriculture at all, that would just be the bee's knees. That would be wonderful.
Right.
And by the way, you'd have to get rid of bees as well. Well,
Well,
it's work. First of all, it's work.
yeah, well,
You
the
got to
thing
clean them up.
is
You got to
we
feed them. You got to
humans
grow
aren't
their.
against work, right? They
Humans, oh, they love work. Well, then there should be nothing wrong with slavery. Then if all humans just love
no, because
work and not
hold
getting
on.
any reward,
Humans also like autonomy just like every other animal does. That's why like
how would you know you're a slave if you're doing what you love to do? If you love picking cotton and you just show up and start doing it,
so happy
and
slavery justifies taking their autonomy. They might be happy
I
doing
don't
it
think
because it's
any
all they
slaves
know.
were happy.
Hold
You're
on,
saying
that's
that people
not
love
true.
doing
Like the
it.
fucking George Washington slaves were known to be very happy. Again, you can look.
I don't think so at all. I can't. I don't think that's true at all.
Well,
I don't
we
think there
can
were happy
Google it.
slaves at all.
Well, we can Google it right now. I mean, like it was said in history books that George Washington even had relationships with his slaves.
Wonderful, but I don't think that people enjoyed or wanted to be.
Okay, content. Content. We
Yeah, I mean, people were content in Auschwitz when the sun came out and it was, beautiful breeze or something on a hot day. I mean, but I don't think anybody.
content is often mistaken for happiness. So like,
Do you believe that water is wet?
right. No, not necessarily. Water makes things.
When I say people don't want to be slaves, you said yeah they do. When I say people want to be slaves, you say no they don't.
No, I'm not contradicting myself. What I'm saying is people don't want their autonomy. I'm just saying they can be happy regardless if majority of people don't want to be slaves. But there might be some exceptions to that.
Maybe one guy.
So what I'm saying is just because they're happy, that doesn't mean they want to be in their situation. They're just making the best out of their situation. That's all I was saying.
Exceptions don't make, don't make rules. That's not. But moving forward, so basically, you were going to come on here and you were going to say, well, we don't need to eat animal-derived foods at all. There's totally a different way around this.
Yep.
It's not necessary. And now we've gone off on happy George Washington slaves. And
well, no, because hold on, you're totally strawmanning my position. My position is that just because hold on, just because the oppression may or may not cause some level of struggle that we have to overcome, that does not justify the oppression. That is what I am saying.
Be mass scale starvation.
Okay, you said 50%. You were not even comfortable with saying that. Yeah, you were not even comfortable saying you were not even comfortable about saying 85%. So we'll just stick with 50%.
Well, there would definitely be degrees of starvation. So
okay, so degrees. There is degree currently of starvation.
Correct.
So
there is currently, correct. And
it wouldn't be that much that if you're saying 50% of the population, that's not that much different than the current situation that we're in right now.
You think that 50% of 8.2 billion
malnourished, including malnourishment, yes. If not more.
What's the numbers on it?
If not more. Okay. Okay. Here, we'll pull up exact numbers. No, we'll pull up exact numbers right now. If you want exact numbers, we'll pull up exact numbers right now. What is the current population?
Food insecurity. You have to use that word.
Of humans in percentage.
Yeah.
So current population overall in severe insecure in food insecurity is 2.23 billion. So what is that in percentage? We have current population. $8.3. So that's 1/4 of the population.
Does it say yes? Does it say why they're food insecure? It should say conflict and natural disasters.
Okay, regardless of the situation, why? To prove
But you're
that,
talking
hold
about
on, to
causing an
prove,
artificial.
hold on, to prove that it would be, so to prove that veganism would make that situation worse, right?
Mhm.
That is the situation that you would have to prove at this current.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So prove that the 25% of the world population that is currently in food insecurity, right, would go up by 50%. So that would lead to
30.
or
Go up 30%.
okay, it would go by up. Okay, prove that it would go up by 30% in the current struggles with like even with all the other implementation to prevent such measures.
Okay. Are you ready? Can I go?
Yep.
Okay. The ocean is 71% of the surface area of the Earth. The majority of the food that comes out of there, excluding some seaweed and nori, is animal based. So that's the first part. You have
Okay.
a planet that's 29% land area, 11% of that is under ice or ice like scenario. So you have a very limited amount of space. The next thing, going from talking about just the land itself,
Majority of the
about
population does not eat seafood, by the way.
is that true?
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true
Does
because our livestock eats seafood. So even if you
what
never picked up
livestock
a-
eats seafood?
it's called fish meal. Poultry,
What?
cattle, and swine and fish.
Okay. Does the majority of animal life, including humans, eat seafood? So to say that it is so only one, so 55% of humans eat seafood. So it might be majority, but it's a slight majority of people that eat seafood. It's not a huge majority of people. That is 45% of the world that does not eat seafood. And it is impossible to calculate the amount of animals and humans altogether that consume seafood, is what it is saying. So
Yeah, correct.
So,
So
for you to say that it is so for you to say that majority of life, animal life, including humans, eats seafood is impossible to calculate. So you're making
I'm not talking about wild animal life. I'm talking about our
okay, domesticated. Okay.
Correct. I said cattle,
Uh
swine, and poultry, and
domesticated. We'll get there.
It's happening.
Okay.
It's a huge aggregate. Like this is what I keep trying to explain to vegans. It's not on one document. It's a huge aggregate.
Well, that's why we have no, majority of domesticated animal life, including humans, does not eat seafood. While humans and some other domesticated animals consume seafood, plant-based foods like grain, foliage, and from the bulk of global diet from both humans and livestock. Seafood consumption is a significant but not dominant food source. Provides Seafood provides 17% of world's animal protein intake, and primary source of protein is source of protein for roughly 3 billion people. However, the vast majority of human food energy worldwide comes from a few cereal grains like maize, rice, wheat, with more than half of the global crops used for human consumption. Plant-based staples are essential. Humans are adaptable omnivores who rely heavily on plant-based foods such as fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and legumes.
Correct. I am plant-based, so I 100% agree with that.
So to say that majority of the animals eat seafood is you're contradicting yourself now.
No, I'm not. There is a
Says 17% of global livestock. The global livestock, and see, I'm actually pulling up actual numbers now. So like, if we're gonna continue, I need you to start pulling up actual numbers, so I can fact.
That's fine. Well, so what you did not do, you put in seafood, and what it actually is, what you're going to have to take apart is what is crab slurry, what is shrimp slurry and silage. You're going to have to look through all those, and then fish meal, defatted fish meal, all these kinds of derivatives from things. As a vegan, you should know.
So even if we are feeding, these animals seafood, wouldn't you say that that was a position against your position, because we're feeding food to eat food? Like,
no, well,
yeah,
you're calling it
so
food,
hold on, we can eat this. Hold on. If you're talking about seafood, we could use that seafood before it goes bad into meal, right? We could eat that food. We could preserve that food, and before we feed it to the food, to eat that said food.
So you want humans to eat crab shells and fish bones and fish heads?
Sure, we could make it into a paste. We could use it for batter. We could use it we could grind it up. Just like we grind up fucking, that's like we grind up, hold on, just like we grind up fucking whole bodies of chickens for chicken nuggets.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
is that real?
Yeah.
Bones, feathers.
How do you think the beaks get into fucking KFC all the time?
I would say that's a mechanical error.
Okay. Yeah, mechanical error. Machine. That's a machine error. It's grounded up.
You said ground up, but you just said it was in a bucket of KFC. KFC is bone in. So
well, not all KFC is bone in. They have boneless.
So somebody found a beak.
They have. Hold on. KFC does have chicken nuggets. KFC does have other things. It's not just the breast. It's not just the thighs. Yep.
Somebody found a beak in their chicken nuggets from KFC.
Yep. The same thing with McDonald's.
I'm pretty sure it was a deep fried basket or bucket of chicken. That was
ground up bodies do contribute to chicken nuggets. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they have there's a big company by me and it's producers. When they're taking
marshmallows are ground up bones of animals. So
from rendering factories. So you're not actually eating the bone itself. You're eating a product
that is ground up bone. It is ground up bone.
Ground up bone.
Yeah.
It's not gelatinized like collagen and stuff from bones and skin.
Yeah, that's part of the process, is grinding up the bones. So it's
into like a paste. So whenever somebody eats gelatin,
so you can do the same thing for
Well, what are
other.
bones made out of?
Hold on, you
What are
could do
bones
the
made?
you could do the same thing for crab shells. You could do the same thing for, other sources of hard materials that come from animals. Or we could just
They do that.
subtract that.
Or
We
calcium tablets are made
Yeah,
out of
or
that
we
stuff.
could just exclude all of that and go to sourcing our lives off of plants.
Mm. Yeah, or we can grind it up roughly in an unrefrigerated boxcar, and feed it to livestock because there is no regulations on what you can and can't feed livestock. So to say, I mean, like it's not like food grade. It's not USDA and like inspected or so on and so forth. They do have some regulations on catering, what they call catering waste and stuff like that, and then also to prevent whatever it is called the bovine
So you're
steatoria or
saying
whatever
it
it is.
is impossible. Impossible. There is no
Yeah,
possibility.
not that I know of.
Okay,
If
that
you were
you
going to
know of.
educate me,
That you know
yeah,
of. So,
that I and everybody else
okay,
have in our mind right now,
okay,
including you.
okay. That you know of in your vast
Well,
facts,
well,
right? That have nothing
well,
to do with to prove that it is impossible. Like nothing that you have said so far has actually proved that it is impossible. That is the key word, impossible, to
uh,
feed the globe off of
well, you
plants.
haven't let me finish. You haven't let me finish.
Okay.
Being one stipulation on that one, and then the second stipulation is that I mean you're talking again about using something else. You this elusive phantom something else. Like instead of using crab slurry and silage from seafood and then fish meal from bycatch and everything else to feed the livestock, you're saying, well, we could eat it. And I'm saying, well, that's not very nutrient dense. It's not very digestible to humans, and also it's not. We're not able to keep it in a food safe condition to feed to humans. It's not human. It's not a. It's not fit for human consumption. So then you say, well, we don't even need to do any of that. We could just do something else. This holy ghost of something else. But you
No,
have yet
that
to even
was for
figure
a
out what that
different
something else
point. That
is.
was for a different point. I guess you
That
didn't
was for
get.
the exact point you were talking
No,
about just now
no,
about the
no.
crab slurry.
Yo,
So instead
because
of crab
we
slurry, you said
have
something else.
well, I'm trying to get you to acknowledge that you're not really addressing that it is impossible, right? You're not addressing the impossible.
You haven't let me finish.
Okay.
I'm still in the process of
Okay.
doing.
So when you're hold on, but when you're gonna cut my position was to address the impossible factor, right?
Correct. You
Yeah.
haven't done that yet. So why don't I take a break from my stance, and why don't we go with your stance, because you
Okay.
have it more figured out than what's meeting the eye. So instead of seafood, what's the something else? You tell me what the other thing is.
Plants, like I said.
Okay, a plant, random plants,
Nope.
grass,
Nope. Plant.
leaves, trees.
Plants being food categorized plants. We
Where are
can
you going to grow them? Where are you going to grow them?
various areas on the planet.
Okay, are you going to use marginal land?
Well, yeah, like I said, like there's places that we have used.
Okay,
Like
can you
we
define marginal
grow
land? That would be
we
part of your
grow
aggregate.
we already grow majority of our intake. Like I can just go back to it, right? We are going to go back to it.
Yeah.
Majority of the intake of human consumption comes from plants, so we already do it. We already
Correct.
grow majority
We're
of our
already eating. We're already eating what we produce.
and then we are also using land that we can grow, right? We can grow plants that are edible for human consumption that we are
You tell me.
you are using for animal use.
Okay, what is the major factor for animal use? Well, what is the number one food group that's being fed to livestock? I'll give you a hint. It's 46% of all livestock feed is what?
42%. You're saying it's gonna
46.
it's not gonna is not going to be you're saying that
This is
40%,
FAO. This
this
is
that
land
46%, which is not the majority, right? So majority of
no, it's not.
yeah,
Correct. You
yeah,
are correct.
yeah. So majority of the food that we feed to livestock is edible.
Yeah. No, 46% of what we feed to livestock globally is grass.
Yeah, 46 is not edible food, right? But
That is true.
major
Okay,
46,
so what percentage of edible
but
food do we
that
feed
would
to
mean
livestock?
that would mean
What percent?
64 of that would mean 64%
No,
of the
no, you're not getting it. Your mind is only one little track. So you and me right now, we're adding up what is it's called a feed bill. So what is the feed bill that we're feeding to livestock? Okay. And so you already said they're using a bunch of land, and I agree with that.
yeah,
And
grass
I know why.
is grass a type of plant that can like takes up like only a certain kind of nutrient, or does it share nutrients that can like where you can grow other plants? I'm pretty sure
You
it's
cannot grow. You cannot. So marginal land means you cannot cultivate monocrops on it.
hold on.
That's what marginal land.
So, but barley, like or wheat, we can grow on the same land that we grow grass.
No.
Yeah, you
No,
can.
We tried that. It's called the Great Dust Bowl. We tried that, and it did not work.
Yeah, but that was the whole point of that we put grass there in the first place, and grass is a terrible thing.
We put grass. So humans invented grass?
No, but
There
we
were no
used
berries,
grass.
there were no-
Hold on, we used grass for various things, and grass is terrible for soil.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Tell me why it's so terrible.
because it takes up a lot of nutrients and a lot of water, and it dehydrates the soil. It takes the nutrients from the soil. Grass is a terrible thing for the soil.
I didn't know that. It produces 7 times the amount of oxygen as a tree because it doesn't go into cycles where respiration cycles like a tree does.
You would a single tree, yeah, I would say a lawn of grass produces more than a single tree.
Same amount of space, same exact amount of space. Grass produces.
Depends
more
on the
because it
tree.
doesn't go through no, all trees go through respiratory cycles.
Yeah,
All
that's
of
true,
them.
but it depends on the tree of what produces the most
Name a tree
oxygen.
that doesn't. Okay, name a tree that produces more oxygen than grass. What's the name of the tree?
Like spruce trees.
Okay, that's incorrect.
Here, let's see.
Do spruce trees produce more oxygen than the same amount of space taken up by grass? It's going to be a hard one to do. Why don't you just Google, does grass produce more oxygen than trees? And it should say, no, not more than spruce trees, should be your answer.
More oxygen than grass.
So moving forward, while you're Googling that, and you're going to come back and really nail me on this one. So moving forward, grass also sequesters, pardon me, more GHG emissions than trees do. And this, again, has to do with their respiration factors. Trees respirate underground, and trees respirate above ground. I'm sorry, grass respirates underground and trees respirate above ground. I don't know if I said that correct, but I corrected myself. So moving forward, they also prevent wind erosion and water erosion, whereas trees don't really do that. Because most of trees are allelopathic, and they destroy the ground cover underneath of them, either by shade or by chemical responses. So, and also, you saying that humans invented grasslands, prairies, the savanna, the tundras, the steppes, and everything else. I don't understand how that could be possible when these things have existed before, Homo erectus was around.
It's saying it's a roughly equal.
He's saying it's roughly equal.
Yeah,
so when Homo erectus came around.
Hold on. The oxygen production. So, grass covering the same acreage can produce more oxygen, but it's roughly equal.
Yeah.
While So it can produce more, right? It's
Yeah,
possible, right? But it's roughly
it
equal
does.
on average.
It produces more. And again, it helps out
Yeah,
more
yeah,
wind erosion
the
and
information that
water
I
erosion.
just said, that it's roughly equal, but it can produce
Mm.
more.
Uh,
So,
this must be like a save the rainforest kind of a thing.
okay.
Anyways, moving forward, so the reason why you can't do wheat and corn and whatever else you have in your mind in the same place where you have native drought resistant or drought tolerant grasses and other forbs, the root depth and availability. So these roots, and I can send you a picture of like where they're explaining like what caused the dust bowl, and it was they pull up a wheat, by the root, a strand of wheat by the root, and you could see the root is inches, and they pull out this drought resistant grass and slice into the earth so you can see exactly how far down these roots are going, and it's like 12 feet tall. I mean, these root systems are huge and massive. um, so that's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is different soil qualities. You have clay pan, sandy soil, loomy sandy, um, different various amounts of human or humus, whatever you want to call it, which is organic compounds in the soil. Um, there's varying degrees, usually around like the clay pan area, which is where we're talking about that had the Great Dust Bowl. That area is shallow soil, hard clay pan, and not available for shallow rooted monocropping. So that's why you can't plant pineapples in Alaska. Is what I
Okay.
always like to refer it to. You
Okay.
can't just plant whatever you want wherever you
So,
want.
Alaska doesn't have greenhouses with pineapples,
Well, it doesn't have the right soil because pineapples grow in volcanic
but they
clay
don't have
mixture
green.
where it's
Hold
low
on. They
humus.
don't have greenhouses with pineapples.
So you would have to turn Alaska into Hawaii to grow the pineapples. You'd have to import
They
the
don't
dirt
have
over.
greenhouses with pineapples.
Oh, they definitely do. Look at this.
Okay.
What is the soil that they're putting it in? Is there a specific soil that pineapples grow in?
Dude, you can grow. The point is, you can grow
Yeah.
pineapples in Alaska. Can you grow on? Uh, can you grow pineapples in native Alaska? No, but nobody's
Okay.
claiming that. But you
I
can
saw
grow
Matt Damon grow
pineapples.
potatoes on Mars in human shit. I saw Matt Damon grow potatoes in human shit on Mars.
Okay.
So I mean, like, I get what you're saying that anything is forkable and possible. Um, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like, what we're here to do is we're saying, can we feed 8.2 billion people? And you're saying, well, greenhouses can grow pineapples if you import soil and do all this other stuff. And I'm agreeing with you that there is a way to force things into working. When you talk about
Yeah.
vertical farming versus on marginal land versus cattle farming on the same marginal land, it's $21 per
Yeah.
square
So
meter
so we
investment.
so.
Well, I wasn't done talking. I
Mhm.
wasn't done talking, but I
Sure.
guess
Sure.
you're
Sure.
going
Sure.
to
Sure. Sure.
step
Go
on
ahead.
me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
So it's a difference between $1,200 per square meter of vertical farming that produces salad. So far, we extensively grow mostly succulent foods and vegetables and whatnot in greenhouses. Now, I'm sure there are the soybean plants and such that you can put in there and can force them to grow, but it is less expensive just to put it into the soil and have it grow in an appropriate area.
Maybe short
With
term,
the
but maybe
appropriate,
not long term.
well, long term, you're still talking about annual investments of $1,200 per square meter
Okay.
in a vertical farm.
Okay.
That's a real number. You
Right.
Google it.
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
versus $21 for putting a cow on
I
native
would say
grass.
land is much more valuable than a greenhouse.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So,
You're talking about intrinsic value versus fiat value. Why not?
so, so there is already places like Greenland, Denmark is like the massive initiative for vertical farming at the moment. It's mostly Scandinavian countries, but like Denmark is one of the leading ones, especially with Greenland. Greenland's already implementing vertical farming. It's showing to be the source that is actually reducing the amount of like outsourcing that they need to do. They're being able to do more insourcing within their island. So like I'm not sure exactly what your point is getting at when it comes to like this not
okay,
being
so
a viable
Greenland-
source. You know, like
That's great that Greenland is growing their own hothouse food instead of somebody else growing their hothouse food and they're importing it. I think that's wonderful. And huzzah! But also, Denmark utilizes a lot of swine farms as for its
sure,
GDP and commodities market, and then Greenland is big into fishing.
sure.
For
They're also
exporting
trying to reduce the fishing intake because they recognize that over time they have recognized that it has been more detrimental to the ocean.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has. But starving people don't worry about the ocean. When they don't have enough food. So these people can worry about the ocean while they're not.
I would say that Greenland has some of the most scarcity for starvation than any other place on the planet.
But do they also have fishing? An extensive, fisheries market?
Yeah, but they still are trying to reduce it as much as they can. So they are.
Everybody is. I think that's wonderful. That's why everybody should be plant-based, like me.
Okay. So, yeah, so, like I was saying, if they were to not import, right, they would not solely be able to live off of the fish, right? They could not, that's why they,
No.
so
No, I
they,
wouldn't think so. No.
so import is the only survival source, like, currently that allows the population
trading fish. Aren't they trading fish for hothouse tomatoes, pineapples, and wheat and tofu? I mean, they're trading fish for tofu, correct?
sure,
They want the tofu.
sure, but again, even if they weren't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if there was no outsourcing with Greenland, which I don't think they have a high amount of outsourcing anyway. So if they were to stop doing any insourcing, they would have to evacuate the island.
Okay.
So right now, their best option, they have collectively understood that vertical farming is going to be the only way that they are actually going to be able to become self-sustaining as an island.
Because of the marginal land, correct? Because of the marginal land?
Correct.
The ice and the rocky soil?
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, right, this is a good example that the rest of the world could follow suit. I totally understand that the U.S. is, on the fence, because it's not just you that's on the fence with vertical farming. There's been a lot of people in the U.S. The U.S. is very highly against vertical farming, I would say collectively. Most people in Utah, where I grow up, again, hugely against vertical farming and say greenhouses are, like it's false food almost.
No, I have a greenhouse and I do vertical farming.
Oh. So,
yeah.
Wait, so you think vertical farming is not going to be a valuable source of food, but yet you...
Correct, because I don't have the like implementations to produce year round for massive amounts of people. I'm doing this only providing that the weather is. I have so many.
So if you were to
everything down,
if you were to replace all the funding that you have for animal agriculture, right?
Hmm.
And you were to and you got all your subsidies that you got from the
I'm not subsidized.
oh
I mean, they do like they do like these voucher things.
okay.
I can't tell you what state I'm in, but we have a voucher program where you get like tax deductible vouchers, but they're not really of a significant
Okay,
amount.
I thought you were a subsidized farmer. That is
No,
shows how little
no,
I actually know.
well, technically I would be because my insurance is, and which is where most of the money goes to is, brokerages,
So
lending.
farming is not your main source of income, is it?
No, no, catering would be the main source. Um, the farming is just promotional to kind of, farm to table, have that kind of niche market that we utilize a lot.
Oh, gotcha. See, everybody
Yeah.
who I've talked to before, like I know so little about you. We have such little conversations that don't really get
Yeah.
anywhere every time we've talked.
Hmm.
So like I know so little about you, and everybody who I told uh everybody who like has told me about you has said that you were a farmer, right? Yeah.
It's just
When I
subsistence
hear
farming, though.
when I hear farmer, I mean I think I hear like the word somebody who make like they're devoting their life to farming, right? I don't think that somebody has
No, a
who
lot of farmers around here moonlight, have other jobs.
oh no, I would agree, but their main source of income is the farm.
No, that's very rare these days. That's incredibly rare. Nobody is devoting, 1800 style their whole body and soul to a farm. These people that run chicken farms, they also uh, do tax, have tax account side jobs. They work for the whatever electric company, water company. A lot of them are work for the post office and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So no, no, I don't know. I don't know of anybody that doesn't that just makes enough money to get by on farming. I don't know of anybody.
I could name a few, but it's neither here nor there.
I
Um,
don't. Well, I don't know of anybody.
yeah.
Me personally.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I could name a few, but it's neither here or there. That's anecdotal, like whatever.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, Purdue and Tyson and all these people. Those people make but they're like CEOs and all that kind of stuff. They make their living
through
off of
subsidies.
farming.
Yeah, through
Well,
subsidies.
and I'm sure they're subsidized because they're a brokerage. They're out there brokering, contracting out these individual farms. But like when they go around and they create this, contract with so and so Joe Farmer, that Joe Farmer who's raising their chickens probably is, a janitor or a bus driver or a postman or works in an office, a banker or something
Okay,
else.
so
They're not
mhm.
probably they're more than likely, I'm going to say 90 some odd percent of them are not solely devoted to farm for money and income.
Okay. So I'm gonna
It
get
can't be.
so I'm gonna get back to the point. So regardless of which, to say that we can't feed the planet, right? I don't think I'm convinced on it yet.
Okay.
Uh, off of plants,
What would convince you?
like complete data that shows like a complete data that would show actual numbers that this would cause the same like the same amount of numbers of starvation, malnutrition, like food security, or worse, right? To say that it would like to the degree that we could not figure it out to prevent such atrocity of like 50% of the like population just collapsing, right?
Yeah.
Because of this shift. I don't
Right.
think there is a data that is ever going to produce that the population will decrease by 50%
Mhm.
because of malnutrition. I don't think that exists. And so therefore, if we can, and we can, as far as I know, change our stature of how we treat animals, we should. We should chase those different factors of how we treat animals because we can, and so therefore we should.
So you're a reductionist. You want to reduce the amount of suffering by having
Not
implementation of
necessarily.
better farming practices.
Not necessarily. I don't want. I don't even think. I'm not a welfarist. No.
Okay.
I think. I think the use of animals is far more detrimental than the abuse of animals.
Okay. And then, I mean, this is a huge aggregate. I've with you, I've only gotten scratching the surface of talking about, the ocean, which is 71% of the surface of the earth. I mean, the next one where I would move from the ocean, we talked about the insilling of crab offal and all that kind of stuff, and fish meal defatted and regular fish meal, uh, from bycatch and from fish slurry and offcut and everything else like that, um, going into livestock feed, and playing a significant role in that. So even if people don't consume the lobster or the mackerel or whatever kind of fish from the ocean or anywhere, any body of water, there still is a process where they're consuming eggs or dairy or pork or meat or something like that, where it is coming from uh, a ocean-based food source. It's part of the livestock feed in and about there. Um, so moving on, then you would also take away pollination. About 75% of the pollination of the fruits, vegetables, and nuts that you consume comes from farm-raised domesticated honeybees
Sure.
of the European
That wasn't
variety.
always the case, but sure.
Well, I'm sure there are a few exceptions. I'm sure there's some rando
Well,
blue bottle
majority.
honeybees
Well,
out there
majority of the
catching.
it. It used to
There's a
be.
wasp.
It
There's a wasp
used to
that
be the
does
majority
this.
of. It used to be that wild honeybees used to be the majority of pollinators until the honey
When?
industry. Yeah,
Oh,
like
when?
even like 100 years ago, like it's reduced dramatically within the last 100 years.
Not at all. No,
Yeah,
we've
because
always.
honeybees have competed against honeybees,
Mhm.
domesticated honeybees, or not really domesticated, but tamed honeybees, like used honeybees. Uh, um,
So if I go and I talk to an Egyptologist or some sort of archaeologist, and I ask them and I say, is there any sort of indication that people were domesticating and using honeybees for pollination? They're going to say no. That just recently started 100 years ago.
no, I
Is
didn't
that
say
true?
the domestic. I didn't say the use of honeybees just happened recently. I said that the
Okay.
reducing of like wild honeybees has reduced because of the used honeybees.
And not pesticides, not insecticides.
It's a
That's what you're
contributing
telling me.
factor, but the biggest factor is the competition between honeybees. Um,
Okay. So neonicotinoids and other um, biological agents made from petrochemicals that break down their nervous system and destroy these animals has nothing to do with the drop off. It's the honeybees are eating the monocrop food that was intended for the native honeybees. Is that what you're telling me?
um, so again, I'll just repeat my statement.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
A huge reason of
Mm-hmm.
the reduce of wild honeybees is competition with used honeybees.
Well, what percentage would you say? Like what is the factor?
Okay, I'll just pull up actual numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's significant at all. I mean, first of all, these are monocrops that are put out there. So usually, when you're dealing with wild and native species, they are specific. They are plant and food source specific. Like I was trying to tell you earlier, there is one type of wasp that only pollinates figs. It was designed for figs. It's rare to find animals that jump around, from source to source. This is why we domesticated European bees. Well, actually, they're Eurasian bees. Um, Originally, in China, Africa, all over the world, these things were used and domesticated for specifically for pollinating our fruits and vegetables. That when we got into monocropping, when the Egyptians started planting huge swaths of vegetables and fruits and nuts, they needed something to pollinate it, and they could not depend upon the native population of random insects and birds to pollinate it. Again, so if you domesticated a fig plant, you would also more than likely have to domesticate
So it's
that specific type of wasp, is what I'm trying to say. But instead, us as humans, we found an animal that will pollinate anything. They don't care.
okay. So it shows that 80% over the 4 years on this, what island is it? It says years on an island. I don't know which island it's saying. It doesn't say which island. That's weird. But 80% of those bees were lost due to the abstraction for domesticated bees, to get domesticated honeybees specifically.
So the domesticated honeybees came in and ate up all the food.
No, they were imported. They didn't come in. They were imported. Let's get that.
Yeah. Well, that okay, imported in. So domesticated Eurasian bees came in, imported in to an island, unknown island, and they reduced the native population.
High densities of honeybees consume nectar, pollen, leaving less for wild bees and decreasing their foraging success.
It doesn't mention anything about
disease transmission. Honeybees can transmit pathogens to wild bee populations, which may negatively affect their health. And then habitat alteration. The presence of domesticated bees can change the plant visitation patterns, favoring certain plants and creating competition for wild honeybees, especially in areas where honeybees are not native. So
they said that the insecticides played zero role.
No, I didn't say that. I think it just said that it actually makes it worse with pathogens, right? I would say pathogens, pesticides, like I'm pretty sure pathogens and pesticides are
interlinked.
Interlinks.
No, they're not. Pathogen is something that's like viral or bacteria.
Yeah, sure, but I'm pretty sure that like a pathogen could be
parasitic.
Okay, yeah, but like a pathogen could be intertwined with like you can transmit pesticides like by touching it. Can you not? A pathogen is anything that is a pathogen is anything that has a pathway to a source, right?
I think you're trying to reconstruct.
No, a pathogen like a bacteria or illness, right? You're creating a pathway for the bacteria to.
Yeah, a vector. Yeah, the vector would be. You're saying that the vector is the domesticated honeybees, and I can tell you this right now: domesticated honeybees don't have diseases that are allowed in the farming process. Nobody allows, like foul brood or some other sort of, because I have honeybees and I have a bunch of powdered chemicals that are organic that I use to get rid of parasites and treat. And I treat anything that's sick, I destroy. Anything that causes problems. Now, where in nature they don't have that. So these pathogens, and then also parasites and mites and everything else, like varroa mites and everything
All right.
else, are
Okay.
running
I'll
rampant.
just say I'm wrong. Okay. I'll just say I'm wrong.
Well, like for example, the H1N2 virus that currently rocked the poultry industry was brought in by Canadian geese, flapping and pooping everywhere. Because normally you're not going to go out to a farm and you're going to say, well, we have chickens, but they all have H1N2. I guess it's okay. And we're moving them all around and selling them to a bunch of different people and spreading it everywhere. That would not happen. The USDA and everybody else would crack down on them and spray that foam. Have you seen the foam?
Foam.
Mm-hmm.
What foam?
Yeah. So that's how they deal with viral outbreaks, with pandemic scenarios. It's this foam, kind of like what you spray in your house, like spray in insulation. It expands and it dries hard. So they spray it over any infected poultry and it hardens into a shell. And so they just pick up the foam and move out the poultry that are entombed inside.
Okay. So
And
by
burn
the
it.
way, so I just directly asked, and yes, honeybees do spread pesticides. So we'll just
Spread the pesticides around or are infected by the pesticides.
well, regardless if they're infected, if they're infected by the pesticide, right, and they are
Correct.
going to other sources.
Touch other things.
Yeah. So
I
they
can see that
so
it's totally a thing.
yeah. So what
Unbeknownst
I'm
to the
saying
bees,
is when I
spreading-
say pathogens, that's kind of what I'm just saying. Like it's kind of the interlinked thing is like the same concept. It's the same concept of spreading something that is harmful to
Correct. So would the insecticides not exist if it weren't for the honeybees themselves?
the honeybees is the majority of reason, like is the majority of the reason of reduction of wild bees. That is what I am saying.
And not insecticides. So the insecticides do not work.
I didn't say they don't. I just said it's not when I say 80%, it might be that the rest of the 20% is insecticides.
That's a very low amount. So that definitely does mean that insecticides do not work. If they're lagging so far behind
Hold on. I said reduction of wild honeybees. I didn't say the effectiveness of the pesticides within a single area of killing wild honeybees. That's a totally different thing that we're asking now. It's a totally separate thing. I'm saying total reduction because wild honeybees also exist in areas that have nothing to do with, like Utah, for example, right? Like Utah being the beehive state, like where the most bees in a single area exist, like the most different variety of bees exist within a single area. So, wild honeybees don't really have much to do with what farmland is doing, right? Like there's not a whole lot of like they don't only go to if we're talking about majority of bees within a single area, there's bees in the mountains, there's bees in the but like honeybees, they travel outside of the farmland, pollinating outside of said areas. How far is like up for debate, but they do spread
miles. Foragers go up to 2 miles.
Yeah, so they travel, right? And
they do.
Yeah, so and
they're very proficient and prolific.
Yeah, and that's not even considering if they're wild, where the queen will also migrate every so often because we clip the queen's wings for honeybees, right? So to keep them in one select area so they're not migrating. So without the migration, they're still traveling far spaces. So those
in trucks.
Yeah,
in trucks.
Well, not only in trucks, but even if they're in the same area, they're still going to be like flying out of farmland, touching wild things where wild bees are going to be touching, which, like, if pesticides or pathogens, we'll just put them together because both are harmful, right? We're going to agree that both are harmful and both have the same concept of spreading through wild honeybees. So
when you say that, so now in your vegan world, you wouldn't have that problem. You would remove the honeybee farming, you remove the domesticated bees. They would no longer be part of your MO.
sure.
Okay, and like what you said earlier, and I totally agree with this. The wild native bees, they kind of stay in their area specific, and with their native forage, and they're very plant specific. So while that's going on, who's pollinating your food that you eat? The monocrop food that you eat?
Well,
Nobody.
hold on. That's not necessarily true either. There was.
Oh, now we're backpedaling.
No, I didn't
disagreed with you,
I
and now you
didn't say
can't
they
agree
were.
with
I
yourself.
didn't say they stayed in their select area. They
You just did.
No, we just said
said
that
the
they're.
mountain.
No, hold on. I said they
They
can.
don't go to farms. You said that they don't go to farms.
Hold on. That's not what I said. I said they might have nothing to do with it. But what I'm saying is that I just said that they migrate. Bees migrate. They aren't stationary beings. We just said that.
Yeah, they're moved around in trucks. Because you told me that the queen has
Wild
her
bees
wings
are
clipped.
migratory animals. They don't stay in the same hive their entire lifespan.
Well, they swarm, but they stay in that same generalized area. They're not. You're never going to find a bee native to Utah.
Why do you think
in
Africanized
Japan, are you?
honeybees have gone all the way from Brazil to the U.S.?
We imported them.
No, they
We
have
imported-
migrated by themselves as well. We didn't
No,
we didn't
it was a
bring in
stingless
we
bee.
didn't bring in
We
Africanized
did.
honeybees. We didn't bring in killer
Yeah, we
bees.
did.
No, we tried to exterminate. They tried to exterminate them in Brazil.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna. So we did not.
It was an
import in-
accident. It was an accident.
an
Like the
accident.
spread,
Okay.
the spread of Africanized honeybees was an
Mhm.
accident.
Okay.
Killer bees was not an intentional thing.
Correct.
So why are you saying we imported them if it was an accidental thing? What, we accidentally imported them?
Is there a bee that doesn't have a stinger?
A bee that doesn't have a stinger?
That cannot sting?
It depends on what you mean by bee. Like even wasp and even
Like a honeybee, a honeybee, yellow-brown honeybee that cannot sting.
no. Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, there is. Okay. And what would be the implications of utilizing that on a farm, like a bee that can't sting? Wouldn't that be great to have that?
No. I don't think using
Okay, that wouldn't be great.
I don't think using anybody would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the minds that were thought that would be a great idea, and now we have killer bees.
Africanized honeybees were not
honeybees. Yeah.
No, they
I'm
weren't
gonna look it up
created.
again.
Hold on. Africanized honeybees
They're man-made.
were, yes, I know. Let me finish. They can't, because there's African honeybees which are far more aggressive than European honeybees, right?
Mhm.
So what they did is they tried to mate the honeybee that is the European honeybee, which is actually a rather kind honeybee, like
Docile. Yeah.
well, like they even have like you can even interact with a lot of honeybees that are in the wild and stuff like that, and they're gonna be rather like they're not gonna be aggressive.
I raise honeybees.
Yeah.
I raise honeybees.
Yeah.
So you don't have to tell me
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, like you don't even.
I know
like,
exactly.
Yeah, as long as
Sometimes
they're.
I only wear gloves. I don't even wear a head mask on them. Just depends upon their temperament.
Yeah.
We call them hot hives. If you have a hot hive,
Yeah, like
I'll
I've worked in,
usually
like I said
clean it.
before, I've worked in landscaping, and I've like they
Correct.
will even remember your face, like they like they'll
And you remember their face. That's impressive because usually a hive contains about 50,000 bees in it.
well,
That's a small, decent, small to medium size hive.
right, but what I'm
That's
saying is
two
that
super, one
yeah,
shallow,
yeah, I'm not
50,000
saying
bees.
that you remember their face, but they do like have uh they do remember human faces and stuff like that. Bees are
Mhm.
super intelligent creatures. They are the same level of intelligence comparative to size to humans. Um,
Sure.
so,
So, with that
so,
being stated, so with the
what I'm
food
saying,
issue, okay,
we're getting back to the Africanized honeybees. So,
okay,
um, with African honeybees, they are far more aggressive, right? They did not treat, they will fuck you up, essentially. Like, they will attack you. They do not like you near their hive. They do not like you near them. They will, hunt. They don't go to the extent of hunting you down to killer bees, but
Mhm.
they do go to they will attack you, right?
Well,
And
killer
so
bee and Africanized bee is the same animal.
yeah, killer bee is an Africanized, right? That's
Hmm.
the difference between
Yeah,
African honeybee versus
yeah, it's a hybrid. It's
Yeah.
a hybrid between
Mm,
the African
yep. Yeah.
stingless bee and the
It's not a stingless
Eurasian.
bee.
Oh, okay. I
It's
didn't know that.
yeah, it's not a stingless bee. The African honeybee is not a stingless bee. They are an
Okay.
aggressive bee, and the reason they did this is because the African honeybee is more aggressive, but they produce more the honey is more flavorful, more nutritionally dense, uh,
From
etc.
the same flowers and pollen.
Yeah, like
Well, that's a miracle in itself. So
they
moving
just
forward to
have
the food.
it's like the vomit and stuff like that, and they're just more active. They go
Well,
to
it's actually
more
a gland. It's a gland behind their head. It's not really
okay.
um,
Okay,
what
we
you're.
can get into
And wax is
somatics,
actually
but
made out of nectar too.
it's
Um,
that's somatics. It's essentially vomit. Um.
sure.
Uh.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But moving
so
forward,
it
so
was too
you want to get
timid.
rid.
It was too timid. The African honeybee. That's the reason
Mhm.
that that's the reason that Brazil tried to with their science lab had to mate the European honeybee and the African honeybee. What this did is actually counteracted, and they became more aggressive than even the African honeybee. And so that and then some dipshit accidentally broke the fucking valve, and then they started reproducing really fast, and then they just started widespreading like crazy.
Oh, okay.
That is the story of the
Um,
killer bee.
that, thank you very much. That was riveting. So moving forward with this, so you're eliminating the your small human bee, um, you know, your bees with the human characteristics. You're removing that from the vegan utopia. So that being one of the things, and you're going to try to replace it with, um, for your apple farm, you're going to do a native local bee.
Or essentially just human population or
Human
pollination
population.
or
Oh, okay.
pollination.
So people out there with little tiny paintbrushes. Okay. All right. Because I mean, currently we're having so much trouble picking our food and even getting it harvest. A lot of it's rotting on the fields. Now you want to add another
More
element
jobs. We're talking
of
about
labor.
jobs. More jobs.
Oh yeah, that sounds wonderful. It
Um,
sounds high paying too. I
um,
mean, apples are worth pennies, and so somebody's taking
subsidizing.
pennies,
Yeah, subsidizing.
pulling money from nowhere. Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah. Like
Printing new money.
cattle is very not a high priced either. So cattle aren't very like expensive neither.
Okay, great. And it takes, what? How many people do you think it takes to run a cattle ranch?
Okay, it depends. Sometimes if it's a large one, it's going to take a lot of
Mm,
people. But if it's
huge.
yeah, huge one.
What do you need all these people on the cattle ranch doing?
So if it's a free range rat, a ranch, you're gonna need about 20 people, depending on like how big the. But if it's like if you have like a herd of like 10 cows, you can do it with 1 to 2 people.
Okay. And then, so the apples are like on a time schedule. So the flowers bloom during a certain time, a cycle of the year. And then, so you've got just what, 2, 3 people out there pollinating them, all the apples in the continental United States.
I didn't say 2 to 3 people. Like you're not using 2 to
Well, I mean,
3
how many people
people
do you
for
think it would take? How
continental
many people
United States for
how many
animal
people do you think it
agriculture.
would take?
Let's be intellectually
I don't even
honest.
think I could pollinate an entire tree given the amount of time I would have before the flowers closed up, fell off, and died.
So
I don't think I could do
you've
one tree.
never heard of regenerative farming?
Oh no, tell me about regenerative farming, because cattle people don't know anything about regenerative farming.
Okay, so
Tell
you
me
know that so you do know the pollination like of one tree. You don't just have a paintbrush, right? Like you.
What do you do?
Pollen.
I was under the impression each flower represented a fruit.
Each flower represented a single fruit. So bees, you're telling me the bees go to every single fucking flower and every single fucking fruit, and like none of that pollination whatsoever has anything to do with the pollen that is stuck to the fur of the bee, and it while it flaps, it spreads to more flowers.
Okay,
that
so now
doesn't
you've got
happen.
a person out there flapping at pollen.
No, you can
flap?
spread pollen into the air and it will pollinate.
You don't have to get it down in between the stamen into the sexual organs. You could just flap it over the top and it'll rain into there. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, I'm not saying it's the most efficient way, but like you could.
Well, it sounds like the wind could do that. I mean, the wind can just pollinate all the flowers then.
Well, yeah, that does happen. I'm not saying again it's not efficient, but it does happen.
You could do a leaf blower. You could just suck a tree and then blow it at another tree and it would pollinate.
Bees are not the only pollinators. Are you saying that bees are the only?
No, bees are not the only pollinators. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying your leaf blower with
humans are just efficient as pollinating. Like humans are just
How would they do that?
Humans are just as efficient at pollinating as bees are.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is true. 100%.
Yeah. So
with a tiny little paintbrush. With a little tiny paintbrush.
It's not a little tiny paintbrush, dude.
Well, that's how I do it. I mean, like whenever I have,
so you
usually
do,
like with squash.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Like I do.
Okay.
And so, if I want something to pollinate quickly, I'll take a male flower, rip out the little stamen and just kind of put it on a Q-tip or something, and then force it down into the female flower, like for squash and whatnot. Like if it's real early in the season and I get flowers before my bees have kind of like fully started pollinating, usually they won't go to like squash and corvets and that kind of stuff until later on. So I kind of lose out if I don't take it for myself. But that's only with just like winter squash and stuff like that. That's not summer squash.
So you don't. So there's no air blasters. There's no.
Not that I know of.
I'm looking at it right now. It says human pollinating on mass scale using manual techniques like brushing pollen with the tool, shaking the plants, using specialized mechanical devices such as electroplastic sprayers, air blasters, and even aircraft to apply pollen across large agricultural areas.
Does it say specifically what plant that is? Does it give specifics?
We could brushing.
Because some of them are wind pollinated. Okay. Some plants are, but not all.
It says flowers, right? humans
Just
pollinate
random flowers.
flowers, right? Yeah, so flowers. So flowers are typically, right, like not en masse, right? Like again, wind is not the most efficient
No, I wouldn't think
pollinate.
so.
No,
I've never experienced that.
yeah, wind is
I
not the
just
most,
experienced
but
plants, just
so
the female flowers high.
electroplastic sprayers are very efficient.
I don't have that. I guess I
Okay,
need to invest in it.
yeah, yeah, you probably should. Air
Yeah.
blasters, right? Like you were just saying,
Mhm.
yeah, like that is a real
Yeah.
thing. Air blasters are a real thing
Mhm.
for so um
So you don't need bees.
not necessarily, no.
Okay.
It's just a
I
comfort
mean,
thing. Just like we don't need to use animals for
mhm.
animal testing, it's just a comfort thing.
Well, I mean, I feel better when I don't consume something that's going to potentially kill the test subject. Then I know not to utilize it.
Well, it does
Um,
potentially kill the test subject. The test subject is
well,
a
that's how we
non-human
know.
animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just staying with food. So you've kind of cleared that off the table. So we're electroplastic air blasting. You've got multiple people going in there, getting into those crevices, getting in those flowers. Real hands-on, labor-intensive hands-on. And so you can get rid of the honeybees, and you don't need to rebreed them. You don't need to cut their wings off. None of
We
that
could just let
foolishness anymore.
wild honeybees be wild honeybees, and we don't have to
Or
have.
bring in what you said, the wild honeybees that don't really go to these monocrops that are specific to the type of flower that they are designed to pollinate.
No, just let wild honeybees be wild honeybees, and no longer contributing to, like, because we would agree the honey industry is the major contributor that we're also using like the honeybees for pollination, right? Like the honeybees.
Well, have you ever had walnut honey before?
Walnut honey.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I don't have.
Do you
I
believe
don't.
that walnut groves use honeybees to pollinate their walnut tree flowers? Do you believe that?
So again, I don't use walnut honey. I don't use
Well, I'm
alternative.
saying, like,
I
when you
use
go to the
like
grocery
my
store, when you
alternative
go to
to
the grocery
honey
store,
is maple syrup. Like that's my alternative.
okay, great.
Maple syrup. So.
Thank you for that. So when you go to the grocery store, you've never seen like pumpkin honey or strawberry honey or something where the bee itself, usually you see like wildflower or clover honey. And so the specifics of the honey is they're growing, they've cleared out a field and of all other plants, and they planted Dutch white clover or, the crimson clover on a huge pasture that they can also utilize for livestock, except for the Dutch white clover, which causes bloating. So probably it's going to be more likely crimson clover, which doesn't cause bloating, but it's still a legume and is still nutrient dense.
Okay.
So, and then there's also the wildflowers. So again, which are just random wildflowers, usually grown for supermarkets or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could also be bird seed. When they say wild, flowers, it could be thistle or something that's grown for bird seed industry.
Okay.
But again, so when you go to the grocery store, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing wildflower and clover honey, and those are the reasons behind it. You never are going to see squash flower honey and all that kind of stuff. They've already taken the bees off of the spring run where they're shipping them around, pollinating. They don't get any of that honey from them, is what I'm trying to tell you. And then they'll put them on a late season clover field or wild, quote unquote, wildflower field to finish them off.
Okay, so are you saying that like this is? I'm kind of confused. Is this because I've never I've never seen this honey. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fine. What I'm saying, do you believe it to be true or untrue?
So what I'm asking is this like claimed like, is this like falsely claimed vegan honey, or is this like I'm not gathering the
No.
point that you're trying to make.
The point that I'm trying to make is you're saying that the driving force behind the honey industry isn't pollination, which is actually where they
Well,
make,
no, the driving
75.
the most pollination bees are
Mhm.
honeybees, is what I was trying to say. Like honeybee.
Correct.
Okay.
We've already agreed on that. I think you're getting confused. I'm going to try to word this as unconfusing as possible. So, what I'm trying to say is that the vast majority of bees that you have out there are shipping around. They're going from apple orchards and walnut groves and blackberries and strawberries and pumpkins and any other kind of open pollinated fruits and vegetables that you're consuming. So if the major drive behind having these honeybees to begin with was honey, why wouldn't you see tomato honey or squash honey or apple honey or something like that, where they were like, these honeybees came off of these flowers? We collected their honey for the sole purpose of selling honey. Why are they shifting them over to a late season fall crop like
Oh,
the
I never said that we
wildflowers?
use honey or honeybees for the sole purpose. Like, we don't use
Yeah.
any animal for one
The
single purpose.
the major drive that I'm trying to drive home to you on this is that the honey industry is focused on pollination. That's where they get all their money all year round, is from pollination. Now the honey from the industry, which usually is sugar water, it's not even real honey from the animal, it is another market in itself that doesn't really substantiate having this year-round honey industry to begin with.
Okay,
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
so
So
yeah.
it's not about honey, because if you stopped eating honey, that would put a dent in their income, because now they don't have this byproduct
Sure, I
of
would
having
say
honey.
if we
I'm saying
stopped
it's more of a
using
byproduct.
yeah, I'm not gonna say that honey alone, like boycotting
Mhm.
honey alone, is enough, right? I'm using bees
Yeah.
at all. Like, I would
What I'm trying to
say,
foreshadow with you is not that the honey industry is this big sugary honey syrup thing. What it more the major slice of the pie is the pollination. So they're shipping them around.
sure,
They're
using
charging
bees
these,
is a shitty thing to do. I think we can I think I'm
Are you
saying,
understanding what I'm saying?
yeah, I understand, but I'm not
So if
ever
the
saying that.
honey industry falls apart, your fruit, nuts, and vegetable industry falls apart with it.
No, again, you just acknowledged that
This has been known since
humans
antiquity.
are as effective as honeybees at pollination.
Yeah,
We
but
simply
the human
do
isn't there.
alternatives.
The human being is not there.
That doesn't mean that it
I
has
can't.
to be. You're simply stating you're simply stating a current fact. I would agree with
Okay,
you. The human is not
current
there,
fact.
but they
Correct.
should be there. They should be there
So they
pollinating.
should be there. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
called a hypothetical situation.
No,
There's a
where
hypothetical
the
person
whole
who's
concept of veganism is what we
mm,
should do. So,
correct.
yeah.
I agree with that.
So,
And
what
what
we
I'm saying is
should
that,
do is we should stop using bees and pollinate
okay,
ourselves.
okay. And I'm saying that when you say ourselves, you actually mean a physical person.
Yeah.
You mean that doesn't exist right now. That the human being isn't
You
even
just said
born
that
yet
you
to
you
fill
just
that
said that
job.
you pollinate yourself.
I do for early run on like winter squash, just so I can have stuff to sell in the fall.
So the person does exist. You simply try a different thing. That's like saying a person who mows the lawn isn't on my lawn right now, so they don't exist.
Okay, I exist. You are correct. I exist, and on occasion, if it's a cold start to a spring, I will pollinate. I will pollinate a couple of pumpkins or Cushall squash or something like that. I will
Okay.
do it. Correct.
Okay. So therefore, it's not even a hypothetical. There is people
No,
who
I know,
hold
because
on.
I exist. I could be pollinating.
There is
I could be
people
pollinating
that
elk
would
food.
be happy to have a job to do pollination, right?
Mhm.
There is people out there who exist who would be happy to
Sitting, waiting around for the opportunity to pollinate.
dude, fucking pollinate, fucking grow plants, fucking have jobs all together, right?
Mhm.
If anything, the
Yeah, because
current system that we
migrant
have
farmers are
now,
very happy.
hold on,
Migrant workers on farms
dude,
are
the
extremely
fucking
happy.
US is one of the most lazy fucking countries. They just bitch and fucking complain. That's why they fucking hire Mexicans to come in here to help do our jobs, who are happy to do the fucking
white
job.
migrant workers here. They're white Euro descendants.
I'm saying
that
U.S.
I know of.
citizen and Mexicans. Mexicans are also white. They are not just one
Mhm.
color. Like, we're not
Correct.
talking race now. We're talking countries. Okay.
Well, I'm talking about Anglo
I'm
American
talking.
descent.
Yeah, but I was talking. So I am talking
But
country
either way,
workers on average. On average, Mexicans are far harder workers, and they would be fucking happy to
Sure.
come in. So they would be fucking happy to come in here and to start being fucking pollinators if they were paid to do so. There is.
I don't know about happy, but whatever.
Okay, I've worked with people doing landscaping. They're pretty fucking happy to be doing the job that is landscaping, right? Like,
I'm sure you can be.
like
they would
Utah
rather
is a
not be anywhere
high.
else.
Hold on. Utah is a very high import for like Mexican visas to come work on landscaping.
Sure.
So
that sounds great. And
yeah.
then,
So
but
what
now
I'm saying
food,
is they're pretty
you're saying
fucking
food,
happy,
so-
and they're one of the least complaining fucking workers. Like, they complain far less than the fucking U.S. workers. That's why they get paid more. They actually get paid more than a lot of the workers here.
Sure.
Because
I'll take that.
yeah, because they actually are so fucking happy. They don't complain. They don't argue. They just fucking do the work, right? And that is one of the why they're so valuable to Utah landscapers, right? So what I'm saying
I don't know.
is,
I love Mexicans. I was married to one.
Okay,
So
I was engaged to one. So so what I'm saying is, there is plenty of people out in the world to change. If we were to change towards a vegan world, right, there would be plenty of people who would be happy to do the alternative of pollinating ourselves or doing other measures like working on greenhouses or other measures to help create this vegan world. So this whole idea that you're creating of it being simply impossible to have a vegan world is simply untrue.
And didn't you said that these migrant farm workers, that they earn more money than American people, correct?
Yeah. Not all the cases, but in the company that I worked for, it was Intermountain Plantings.
That sounds great. Oh, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and when you go to the grocery store, how much do you buy apples for?
I don't know, like $3. If I buy a bag.
The one that the bee pollinated, right?
Okay, yeah, but it doesn't have to be that scenario.
Okay, so how much are you willing to pay for a bag of apples?
Dude, I don't know. Quite a bit, actually. I love apples.
Okay, great. So now, you know, all of your food, of course, has increased because you're paying somebody to mechanical workings.
Subsidies,
and all this kind of stuff.
dude. Like the subsidies,
You were okay.
Yeah, yes.
I think you don't know where subsidies come from. Where do subsidies come from? Magically?
No, they come from taxes. They come from,
Okay.
like they come from, other like government funding. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
taxes is the main source of subsidies.
So the citizenry have to pay. So you're talking about raising taxes
Nope,
either which way.
nope,
You're talking about, oh, no, you're not. Okay, so keep taxes exactly the
because
way they
it's
are,
gonna
but just
change the
make more.
subsidies. It's gonna
You're going to
change
change the subsidies.
yeah, the taxes that are like it's diverting like
You're going to pull away from the cattle farm, all those hundreds and thousands of workers that are working on these cattle ranches, and you're going to just pull them over, and now they are
or
pollinating.
convert the cattle workers into
Mm-hmm.
being not
Pollinating.
or
Yeah.
like working towards a vegan world.
Yeah. Okay. So I see that, and okay. So now you've got a workforce. You're going to take all the, millions and millions and millions of people that are working on, um, the cattle farm and the chicken industry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
uh, thousands of workers that are working, on a single chicken farm, depending upon how big it is.
yeah.
All those are just going to flood in, and now they're moving around the country, pollinating things as the flowers become available.
It's not going to be much different
Huge
than what they're
care. Well,
doing
that's how they
now.
do beef.
It's
Well,
not going to be
so on
much
a
different.
beef
What are the?
farm,
It's not going to be
it's
very different of what they're doing now. They're still gonna
okay.
be because they
Yeah.
still have to maintain they still have to maintain the plant agriculture to feed.
Mhm.
They still have to maintain that plant agriculture to feed the livestock. They just
Yeah.
they just have to minus the livestock part.
Yeah, whenever I go
It's
out
just
to like a
one component
cow
of what
farm,
a
I
farmer
usually
has
see
to
this
do.
huge. Yeah, whenever I go out to like a cattle ranch or something like that, I do usually see thousands of people out there manually picking the grass and feeding it to the cow. The same thing with even if you had like a cornfield where you were raising livestock, field or dent corn, whatever you want to call it, where you were raising that, it's usually one guy driving the tractor, not 1,000 people driving the tractor. Um, but I mean, again, maybe things are different in Utah. Maybe you all have a lot more people um, taking care of the chickens, taking care of the pigs, taking care of the cows. It sounds like you do. Sounds like you have an extremely uh, large and tappable workforce out there.
Uh, well, industry is Utah's motto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like,
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
mean, if you have 1,000 people working on a cattle ranch,
Yeah,
so
we
you were
we
saying
have we have like 2 or 3 industrial slaughterhouses. Uh
mm.
so two, I think it's 3.
how
There's
many
one in
how many
Tooele,
how
one
many
in
uh how many animals can they process
500,000
um,
cattle for one of them. 500 cattle
for one?
a
Okay,
day.
and how
That's a
many
day.
people would you
Yeah.
guess work there a shift?
A shift, I'm unsure, but I would guess it's around 30, 40.
So 30-40 people doing what? You said 50,000
Well, that
heads.
was the slaughterhouse, right? So like that would be a whole like you would agree that a industrial slaughterhouse is a whole sorts of operations. Like it's like
Yeah,
to say
it's an assembly line.
yeah,
It's an
yeah,
assembly line, is what it is.
yeah.
And so you have,
Yeah, you
one guy
also
doing a
have people
repetitive job.
yeah, like one person is doing the managing of the trucks coming in, one person is doing
Correct.
the managing the statistics of how efficient they're
Hmm.
running, one person is like there's a whole fucking operation there. I don't
Correct.
know every bit
And
of
these
the
people could be
operation.
out there pollinating
Yeah,
apple trees.
they could be doing the same operation except
Hmm.
abstracting the um the animal
And then
use.
once the apples are pollinated, what do they do? Because you only have to pollinate them once.
Yeah, yeah. Once they do that, they could work on fertilization. They could work on, greenhousing.
Oh,
They could work.
so they're
They could
staying
work.
on the apple
But like
orchard.
again,
They're
there's a
all
whole.
staying.
You're saying like create a whole operation that I have little
Mhm,
not like that I like again. I'm gonna say it again. I don't know
mhm,
every little detail that goes into a slaughterhouse. This might be something to talk about with 40-year-old vegan or something like that, where he actually worked in a slaughterhouse at one time,
mhm,
right? Like he can get into which if you want to set up an operation with, like set up on a like another debate with a person who actually works and
mhm.
or
I can do that.
actually worked, like I would be happy to set this up and have another discussion with you,
Yeah,
um
I could totally do that.
okay, cool. Uh so I don't know every detail that goes into um uh like a slaughterhouse,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, you told me that multiple times. I agreed with you. You don't.
yeah. So, but I do know like quite a bit. I know enough to
Okay.
know what happens to the animal. I know the animal's perspective of what is going on in a slaughterhouse, and that is the most
Sure, sure.
important thing.
Yeah, doesn't take a wide range of imagination to
Yeah.
understand what you're going through.
Yeah. So that is what I'm mostly concerned about. Like, I don't know
Okay.
every operation that happened in the slave industry, and I don't need to.
Mhm,
All I need to know is that it was a fucked up industry and we shouldn't be
mhm.
doing it, right?
Well, yeah, well,
Uh
we're not. Well, we kind of are currently, but not in
okay,
the
but like
ramifications we're
yeah,
supposed
not in the ways the Confederates did, right?
to. Correct.
Uh which I hope you would agree that no circumstance would justify the use of like the use of human slaves the way the Confederates did. Like I know that
No.
you're yeah, I don't think you would say the environment is a necessary reason to say, you know what, let's use human slaves the way the Confederates did for the environment.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Cool.
I don't think it benefited or did anything to the environment at all. This would have been before um, most of the pesticides that we have today were manufactured. They did have
Right. But
some.
even if it was,
Um,
like, even if it
mhm.
was going to be detrimental for the environment, I don't think that would justify putting a select group of people into this and be like, you know what? We need to continue using you to save
Mhm.
the environment. Right?
Yeah, we've agreed on that multiple times.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, therefore, creating the select group of livestock, right? The select group
Mhm.
of sentient being, and say, you know what, you are going to be used for the rest of the existence of human population until the world is evaporated from the earth for the environment. That is a fucked up scenario that should not be happening.
I never said the environment. I said to feed humanity. The
Oh, okay.
food security and food. Yeah.
Okay, so you do. Okay, well, I thought food security was involved. I thought it was a aspect of the environment.
It can be. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
it can be. Yeah, if
yeah.
you
So
destroy something, you can't
I would
utilize
say like the environment is just a broader scale, and then food security is a concept within that broader scale. So yeah, because if the
potentially.
environment goes to shit, food security is fucking inexistent, right? So
Correct. Yeah, correct.
so for the environment, right? Um, it wouldn't justify having the select group for the remainder of human existence to go through the atrocities that they go through, even the atrocities that you put your animals through, right? I
Mhm.
don't like it doesn't justify putting someone into a select area, pointing a gun. I don't know if you use gun or I don't know your method
No,
of
no.
slaughter.
It's not a gun. It's a captive bolt. But no,
Oh, so
I have
you
only
go
small.
you do the bolt gun method. Okay.
No, no, no. My cousins do. because they process larger livestock, but I have small livestock: chickens, ducks, quail,
Okay,
rabbits.
so do
Petri,
you
etc.
tear the head off of the chicken, or do you cut the head off of the chicken?
Well, I render them unconscious, and then I'll slit their throat
How
and
do
put
you
in a
render
kill
them
cone.
how do you render them
I have
unconscious?
a tire thumper. It's a metal-tipped rod of wood. It's called a tire thumper.
Okay. And so what, you'd like knock them in the head?
Yeah, I just knock them in the head, drop them down into a kill cone, slit their throat, and they're gone.
Okay.
They've left the earth.
So you knock them out with like a
Yeah.
bat, essentially.
Yeah,
Like,
a small bat.
yeah,
With a
yeah.
metal tip.
Yeah. So you knock them in the head with a stick that has a metal tip, and then
Yeah.
you cut their head off. Okay.
No, I slit their jugular. The head stays on.
Oh, the head stays on. You slit their jugular, and then, so you cook the whole chicken with the head on and everything. Like, you don't cut the head off for like cooking.
So for some markets, they want the head on.
Okay.
African and Asian, and then we don't really have a European market. But if we did, they would. But and then the rest of it is it comes in pieces or pre-cooked or something like that, and no head.
Okay.
But the head comes off later after scalding and all that.
Okay.
We scald them with the head on.
So I would still say this is a pretty fucking like horrendous way of slaughter, right? Like,
Well, have you ever been knocked out before?
yeah, actually I have. Not
I
by
have too.
yeah, not by a human per se. I've been
You
knocked.
slipped and fell or something?
Yeah. Like I was
How did that did you feel yourself hitting the ground?
No, but I do remember falling at the moment.
You remember? I do too.
Yeah.
I remember falling and then it went black.
Yeah. Same
And I
here.
woke up with a headache. Well, here's the thing: they're not waking, so everything goes black, and then they don't wake up.
Right, but that's still like, it's still
terrible.
Yeah,
It's horrifying. It's completely terrible.
Yeah,
they don't want to die.
Yeah, no, they are.
And it's murder. It is.
Yeah,
taking
just because like this is like justifying Charlie Kirk, dying instantly. He's not.
I don't think he died. I think he was.
He was confirmed to die instantly by the autopsy. Yeah.
From a neck shot? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. He went maybe unconscious instantly and then died like shortly after. Like he didn't feel any pain.
Oh, okay.
Like that's
well, good. That is good in a way.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't say that justifies of what happened to Charlie Kirk.
No,
though.
not at all.
Right. Yeah. By the way, if you ever interested, I actually did go to like the UVU where he was shot and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I live in like I said, I live in Utah. I'm 30 minutes away from Orem, or 40.
You don't have to dox yourself.
Dude,
you're recording this, right?
Yeah, I don't really care, dude. It's yeah, fucking I dox myself all the time.
I mean, I'm not gonna come and creep around, but somebody else. I definitely don't want vegans coming. There's like 3,000 vegans in the area that I know.
I'm not worried about people.
Well, I am.
Yeah, so
they'll go after farms and whatnot.
Yeah, so there's me. There's me right now, right?
Right.
So, I'm going after the people that are beating chickens over the head and then slitting their throat.
Yeah.
So, so what I'm asking, right, or what vegans are asking, is since we don't have to beat a chicken over the head and slit their throat.
Well, I disagree with that. I think we absolutely have to do that.
No, you have not provided it. We have gotten to complete fucking.
I haven't finished.
Okay.
I have not finished.
So far, we are still leaning on towards that there are. Well,
we've gotten past the ocean and honeybees, kind of, and we've kind of come to a draw on everything so far. But I don't want to beat a dead horse, as they say. I'd rather move through it so that you get
Okay.
so that you can come back
Okay,
and say,
so
hey,
now
wait a
we'll
minute,
get to
you're
livestock.
wrong
Well, now
about
we'll move on to livestock. Okay, we'll move on to
okay, so
livestock now.
which one? Which one do you want to go on to now?
Okay, so every bit of livestock is not going to be equally, like, if we were to get rid of
Correct.
one, we would not replace that one form of livestock with the other one.
Yes, we would.
Okay, so therefore, we're going to have to touch all livestock all together collectively, because in theory, if we were to get rid of one, we would replace it with the same kind of atrocity that happens to the other. I'm not discriminating one livestock with the other one and wasting
Like for
anyone's,
example,
because
you're out in Utah, right? You're out in Utah,
we
correct?
all have special time. Like you're a busy guy, right? Like you work on a,
Mm-hmm.
you're a busy guy. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want
Okay.
to waste my chat's time. Um,
Mm.
so we're gonna just collectively touch on all livestock, right?
Okay.
All together as one category.
That's fine.
Okay. Um,
Um,
go ahead.
so so in dealing with livestock, so 86%, and this is beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is proven. FAO, everybody's gotten together and really came together with these numbers. Roughly 86% of all livestock feed is inedible to humans. 46% of that being grass alone.
Okay.
Which I tried to touch on earlier, and it kind of came back at me. But so 46% of the 100% is grass. Out of the 100%, 13% of that is grain that human can eat. Dent corn, wheat, like 1% of it is rice. So 1% of all global rice is fed to livestock. There's all these aggregates, again, that are broken down by the IPCC report and by the FAO working together. So you can definitely look into that. With that being stated, um, the significant amount, even with the tropic levels, because I understand that, like, you have 1 pound of animal is created from 6 pounds of feed, or so on and so forth. For poultry, it's a little different, and swine and whatnot. But again, you have to look in retrospect. What are we feeding them? We're feeding them sugarcane bagasse. We're feeding them grass. We're feeding them the oil cake from pressing out soybean oils. Same thing with sunflower seed oil, corn oil, um, rapeseed, which is known as canola oil, and is in the mustard family. We use all these genetically modified oil seeds for various reasons: engine coolants, lubrications, paints, chemicals, you name it, we use it. Deep fat fryers use, peanut oil and or soybean or whatever the purveyor's buying. With that being stated, so there is a byproduct, which some people call a co-product,
Okay.
from these sources of human food. A co-product from wheat is going to be middlings, which is going to be the endosperm, the bran, the chaff, and everything else, leaving out, of course, the straw. That's a byproduct, not a co-product of wheat. And then with sugarcane, it is declared as a co-product is the bagasse, which is the fibrous hull of the sugarcane as it's being pressed through. It can be utilized for most of it's utilized for livestock feed, but it also could be used for biofuels, fermentation. But yeah, I mean, everything has if it's an organic matter, it has a byproduct or co-product that's utilized for livestock feed. Paper pulp, you name it, it goes into livestock feed. I mean, even the concentration of natural gases creates a substance called urea, which is either a fertilizer or it's a non-specific protein enhancer in livestock feed. So how would you go about making food out of that?
Okay. So you would agree that a portion of uh like, and it might be even a substantial portion. Like, let's say it's more than 10% of portions of food is edible for humans, and it is fed to livestock.
Well, 13%.
Okay, so 13%. That's a pretty substantial amount of food when you consider calories. Like cows eat 25,000 calories a day, isn't it? 25,000?
They consume 2.5 to 3% of their body weight.
Okay, so but like on average, it's like 25,000 calories, right?
It's a different degree because there you have like ADF, acid detergent fibers, and then NDF, neutral detergent fibers that are turned into food as well. They're not monogastric; they're ruminant, so the bacteria are feeding off of the lignin and the other cellulosic fibers, whereas your body can't do that. So, I mean, I think calories are crazy terminology to use. I mean, a calorie is something that could be burnt, a material that could be burnt that raises the temperature of water a certain degree. That's how they figure out how many quote unquote calories are in something. So, I mean, if you want a high amount of calories, gasoline has a high amount of calories. Natural gas has a high amount of calories. Coal and all the fossil fuels have a high amount of caloric value. I think you have to look at the TDN.
Okay.
From a standpoint. So, you eating a cob of sweet corn. I don't know if you've ever eaten sweet corn before, and then, the very next day you go to the bathroom, and you may or may not witness the fact that your body did not digest that corn.
Yeah, you have to chew. Yeah. If you don't chew your corn, it's gonna. Yeah. You're not gonna digest it. It's non-soluble fiber.
Correct.
Yeah.
The cows don't have to do that. They take sweet corn. They have portholes in these cattle, and they have like a stocking. They put the corn in the stocking, and they put it right into the cow's rumen, and see how much of the fiber and everything breaks down. It's kind of weird and gross, isn't it? It literally unscrews kind of like a sewer cap. Have you ever seen like a clean out sewer cap before? It's pretty much the same material.
Okay.
It's PVC.
Yeah.
It's a PVC flange with a PVC cap covering it, and you can literally put your whole hand, whole arm inside the cow's stomach from the side.
Can you hear me still? Am I muted?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. It's just not showing up on my screen that I'm talking. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Now it is. Anyway, continue.
Oh, that was it.
Okay.
Cows don't really have to chew like you would because they have 4 stomach chambers, and they can move them in and out.
They do chew pretty. They do grind. They do grind their food pretty well.
Yeah, they definitely they can regurgitate from their primary, from their first
especially grass-fed cows. They do have to chew. They still have to chew quite a bit of that grass because they just swallow that. If they swallow the grass, they'll just they'll get constipated.
I'm just saying for for feed studies, they'll usually put the product in whole.
Yeah.
And see how much the cow's stomach rumen can break down on its own.
Right. So
it's just for feed. It's just for feed
so
value.
Even a human can process grass, even though it's non-soluble fiber.
I don't know about that.
If they chew it substantially enough. Hold on. If they chew it substantially enough, they can pass it through their digestive system, right? Like if you chew grass.
I'll share with you a painting of people in Ireland during the potato famine who were eating grass, chewing it and cooking it and doing whatever, chopping it, whatever. But they were eating grass and they starved to death. It's just too high in fiber. We can't break it down.
We can't use it as a main source of food, but we can use it as a partial source of food. Is all I was saying.
You could use anything as a partial filler.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is partial source of calories. Like we can get calories out of grass. That's all I'm saying. It's not a huge.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, sure. It's tough.
So
But again, like
so
what you
what
said, it
I'm
would not sustain
so now
human
that I'm
life.
getting to actual numbers, because while you were explaining, I was multitasking.
That's fine.
And I was looking up at specific calories of what on average, it is between for like beef cows, or rodeo cows. It is on average of 80,000 to 20,000 calories per day for lactating cows. It is 25,000 to 30,000 calories per day. For growing
Okay.
calves have to eat more calories, so they get from 25 to 30,000 calories also.
Yeah.
So, uh, so with like rodeo cows and beef cows, like they even eat less, but that is still substantially more than our, like, a bodybuilder, like at most eats 10,000 calories per day. Like
Oh yeah.
that's the highest amount I've heard of a bodybuilder, like who eats way more than the average human. Average human is like,
Is that 10,000 calories of grass?
it doesn't have to be. So
You see where I'm going with this?
yeah, but it
So-
doesn't. So you're trying to make the statement that we have to feed grass to cows. We have to feed, like, it.
Well, we do.
We
do.
So there is no grain cows. Grain.
Oh, there's lots of grain in cattle. There's
Yeah.
lots of grain.
Yeah. So
But not as much as what you're imagining. I mean,
hold on.
because again, they are ruminants.
Majority. I believe majority of.
Mhm.
So like that 14% of all livestock. That's 14. I just looked it up. It was 14. You were mistaken. It was 14. I just looked it up. I was
It's
only a small
14%
portion.
edible.
Yeah, yes.
It's 14% edible. 13% of it is grain. 1% is fats and oils.
Okay, so yeah, so 14% of it is edible, right? For all
Fats and oils,
livestock.
1%.
So all livestock, that is livestock as a whole, right? That's not
Correct.
So
Yes.
dairy cows, majority of their feed is edible grains.
No, incorrect. You will cause bloat. They cannot handle carbohydrates like you can. I'm trying to explain that to you. They're a rumen. They can only consume fibrous materials. They have to feed their a specific type of bacteria that grow.
Dairy cows do not get fed the same quality of food as like rodeo cows and beef cows. Beef cows have to be fed a much better diet than dairy cows do. That's why dairy.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. I imagine so. But again, you could not feed any kind of ruminating animal the amount of fermentable carbohydrates that you're talking about. You would end up with bloat. And I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of cows bloating where they pierce through their abdomen with a hollow tube and they can light it on fire because they're so bloated with methane gas. From getting into like corn or wheat or something.
Sorry, it is legumes. It is legumes that is the main source. It is not grains.
Well, again, clover is a legume.
Yes.
Well, clover is a legume. Vetch is a legume.
Yeah. So,
alfalfa
but we also can eat legumes as well.
Have you ever eaten alfalfa or clover hay or Dutch white clover or vetch? Have you ever eaten vetch in your life? VETCH, either crown vetch or purple vetch. Have you eaten them?
I have ate alfalfa before.
You have alfalfa sprouts?
I have ate alfalfa before. That is what I said specifically.
Okay, so sprouts, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've eaten alfalfa sprouts before. Yeah, they're really delicious.
Yeah.
But what the cattle are eating, they're eating full-grown fibrous alfalfa.
Well, I've also eaten full-grown alfalfa. I was like snacking on it for an experiment. I'm not saying alfalfa is
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm gonna go out and eat
I
alfalfa
get
like
it.
a cow, but
Th-
I
This is
have done
this
it.
is hay. I mean, this is
Yeah,
hay. It's what,
yeah,
and it's legume hay,
yeah.
from a legume. Yeah.
Yeah. You can get like a so like it is hay is technically edible, right? It's not good for
Well,
you,
everything
right?
is. I mean,
Yeah,
gasoline is edible. You can get you a big swig of that,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
probably won't even kill you.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm not not everything is edible. That's disingenuous. Like a bleach, you can't swallow bleach. Um,
You can, yeah, a certain amount.
like a mouthful of bleach can be lethal. So like I wouldn't say a mouthful of alfalfa is going to be lethal. Like there's a pretty
No,
substantial difference. Like you can have a
but it's
mouth
going to come out the same way it went in. I mean, there's going to be
depending on
very
how
little
much you
change
chew
to
it.
that
You
alfalfa.
have to chew it. That's a part of the
Not even
digestion.
depend upon how much you chew it. It's not going to break down the fibers. Human beings cannot turn fiber into food. You can eat it, you can put it in
Well,
your
there's a
mouth,
difference
and
between
then
soluble fiber and there's insoluble
correct,
fiber, right?
correct. Okay, so like inulin, yeah, inulin is soluble fiber, and so you can somewhat digest it through anaerobic digestion with the bacteria flora in your stomach. It's going to give you gas. I mean, that's what gives you gas. And Jerusalem artichokes and broccoli is inulin. Is it highly digestible? No. And again, it's an ADF. It's an acid detergent fiber. Um, rather than an NDF, which is most of what you're talking about. So when you're consuming any kind of fiber, even inulin, um,
So you
if you don't,
can get calories from legume hay. That's what I mean by edible, right? Is like being able to
again, I mean, the percentages
extract.
that you're talking
So
about aren't
so
sustainable. They're
what I'm
non-sustainable.
saying is like if it were to come down to like needing to eat hay to get calories, you could eat hay to get calories.
You would
So
starve to death. I mean, you would starve to death.
dude,
On a
getting
hay diet, you would
okay.
starve to death.
Only you would starve to death eating on like a solo food, like you like theoretically, right?
No,
You could die from getting any single source of food.
no, you could eat eggs from the beginning to the end of time, or meat, or anything like that.
Your egg source of food, you would not last long only eating eggs.
Um, yeah, I mean, you're talking about like some sort of, heart attack or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be a longevity. You would have health problems, but we're talking about like within a very short amount of time, you eating grass or hay, as we've historically seen in the past, grass and hay leads to starvation, in a very short amount of time, more so than an egg diet.
So like even for a 3 years, like for a 3 year um time period, eggs are not considered a viable source of
Yeah, they would be.
food.
Yeah, they would be. I mean, you would have some sort of complications eventually, but no,
Okay,
you
I'm
you
looking at
literally
it
could sit
like
there.
yeah,
You could
so
live off
like
potatoes for an extended amount
FDA
of time.
uh so FDA 3 years is technically a long-term period, right? Like why I was
Okay.
like it's like the first like we would consider a 3 year term a long-term period, right? Like
Okay.
right.
Could you live off of grass for 3 years?
I didn't say that we would live off of grass.
Okay.
I
Well,
said
that's
that
kind of
we
our
would.
subject matter
Well,
right
hold
now
on, hold on. Fourteen
in our
percent of
hypothetical world.
livestock food is edible, right? 14%.
I've said that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that 14% to their calorie intake
Mhm.
is substantial as fuck to our calorie intake,
Okay.
right? Yes or
Yeah,
no?
you could probably. Yeah, they've done like UC Day, not UC Davis. Cornell. did the study on what if we converted livestock, the edible part, the 14% of livestock feed into human, like humans were utilizing it. And yeah, I mean, it's a significant amount of people. It's, I think, somewhere between, for the United States, it was like 800 million people um, would be able to eat the livestock grain, and nobody's disagreeing with that. As a plant-based person, I totally think we should not be feeding livestock any, pardon me, human edible grains or anything like, or human edible fats or grains. No, I think they should be on 100% inedible diet, inedible to humans. So I agree with that 100%, and we are moving towards that. That is not like a vegan future. That's a realistic future. There's
Realistic
already programs
future.
in it. Yeah,
Realistic future. So the
correct. There are
vegan world
people,
isn't realistic, but your realistic future, the world that you want is realistic, but the vegan world
yeah.
isn't.
Well, not just
Hold
me.
on.
There are
Hold on, hold on, hold
people
on.
working in
Yeah,
governments.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So people working in governments are also working towards a
Mhm.
vegan world. So
Who? You're talking about the AFA? The AFA is the only people I know of that are working towards a vegan world in government.
So sure, we could say the AFA.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll just say the one that you know, because I'm not about to just pull
Well,
up.
you need to pick another one then. I mean, I'm
Well,
educate
hold
me.
on, hold on,
This is
hold
what this debate is about.
on. Okay, politicians that are vegan. Maybe Anna can pull them up because I know Anna knows a few politicians that are vegan.
I'm sure that there are. I'm sure that, and I mentioned the AFA. That's a pretty decent sized lobbyist group.
Okay.
PETA. PETA's another lobbyist
I
group.
wouldn't say they're a politician group. Like
They are. They're a very political group. They spend $250 million,
okay,
I
but
believe,
there's
annually on
politicians that work
lobbying.
with PETA, but I wouldn't say the group as a whole is political. Like
It's very okay. Well, I mean, if you don't think they're political, then
there's
that solves it.
hold on. I said Eric Adams, currently mayor of New York City.
There we go.
Tulsi, a former representative of Hawaii. The former president is, well, like, I wouldn't consider him as a current politician. But Bill Clinton has moved to being vegan. The U.S. representative of California, Adam Schiff, is vegan.
And have you read anything where they've put forth like some sort of like bills or they're shifting, working with
so
like,
hold on, putting forth bills that would have to get people to agree with the bill, right?
correct.
So that's
how they
where
work.
I would say, yeah. So putting forth bills, I would say that it has not happened. But
Well, I mean, nobody has to agree with you. You just have to like put it out on the floor, and it's hot off the press. It's tangible. So you could like, oh, here's their studies. Here's all their, this is a list of aggregates, where it's named and you've got bullet points. Here's how you're going to replace chicken. Here's how you're going to replace beef. Here's how you're going to replace fish. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to, we've got a plan for the ocean, because that's a big one. That's a big amount of space. We're going to grow, I don't know, some aquatic legume that we can turn into sea tofu,
so
something
if I'm
like
looking
that.
into, okay, hold on. I'll just go for your specific politicians that promote a vegan world. That promote a vegan world. There we go.
And then you would see, now you could digest that information.
So
and you would
Eric
say, well,
Adams.
here,
Eric Adams.
Eric Adams.
Yeah, the
Now,
mayor
and then you would
the mayor
pull
of
up
New
his
York
bill.
City. I'm gonna look at
Now
it
you're
right
going to
now.
pull up, you're going to go through Eric Adams. Mayors usually don't write up bills or
No,
do anything like that.
no.
But he could be working. Like I said, again, I've read some of the
But
AFA
within the
stuff.
city, he has been putting funding towards a more plant-based restaurants and foods and stuff like that.
Yeah, great. I'm plant-based myself, so that's perfect.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, like more vegan options and more vegan restaurants. Sorry, I won't say plant-based, because your plant-based is flexitarian diets. I'm not
mhm.
talking I'm not talking about flexitarian restaurants. He
Well,
is,
it kind of
yeah.
sounds like you are.
No,
When
he
you said
promoted
vegan option,
yeah, yeah. So vegan options and developing more vegan restaurants is what it was saying.
well, there you go. And so, you could see how he's, furnishing the food that goes towards these places, how he's converting with grandeur success, cow farms into, something that would, um, make up for no longer having the dairy or the beef. Um, do you see what I'm saying? You've created a vacuum. Well, what's going to fill the void? Once you take something away, because that's what you're doing. You're
I think
taking
we've already
away.
talked about how we're gonna fill the void like several times.
No, not in specifics. No, you said in theory, in hypothetical, there is some guy out there, and it's in a book somewhere where they've written it down and they know what to do. That sounds very fantastical to me, but it doesn't sound very logistical. If you were telling people, here's how we're going to do it, here's how we're going to complete the task from start to finish, that would be more sound, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
You're telling me that you have the exact you like this is where we're gonna get it to, because you don't have the exact study to say that what we could do moving to a vegan world is impossible, and I don't have the exact numbers to tell you that we have everything figured out to make the vegan world happen.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where we have to just get into the morals. If I were to come up with a vegan plan, right, like within a short amount of time, like say within a couple of weeks, right, like if I were to go in through every study possible and figure out how I could cultivate a plan to make the vegan world possible within a week, right, and just cultivate my own plan, and then I would say that I would go talk to, whatever government system that you would require. Let's say I go to like Washington, D.C. or something like that, and I talk to Trump or something about like how to implement a vegan world that would provide.
Well, it's a woman actually. Brooke is going to be head of the USDA.
Okay, so go to the head of the use.
She's a moron.
Hold on. So if I were to be able to provide that study that would prove it to you, would that be enough for you to go vegan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got the study. Yeah, here I'll start dropping studies.
I bet they're all going to be from Max Browser from Our World in Data. Those are all plant-based. If you're going to take
this
from
specific
Joseph
one,
Poor and the Nimic.
This one is so this one is from www.oxfordfordmartin.ox.ac.uk.
That's Joseph Poor. So that article came out in 2018, and it's the Joseph Poor Nimic study, and it was actually Oxford and the University of Wisconsin. I've read it before.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you now Google the same person, the Joseph Poor? He is vegan, by the way. He came out with a hamburger. I believe it was in either The Guardian or Science Weekly. I can't recall which one it is. But it's again, he's trying to push people towards a plant-based diet, which I'm plant-based. And there's a hamburger there. It's 80% plant protein, 20% animal protein.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've already read all these things. You know,
Okay.
he's talking about rewilding. He coined the term rewilding.
Sure.
Talking about how much land and water we use. He's not taking into retrospect the amount of green water that's utilized and the marginal land aspect of it. He even says that. He says that, you know, this is just a rough out. And again, if you actually read the whole study itself, it doesn't have, here's how we rectify this. Here's how we fix the animal, you know, issue, the moral
Okay.
issue of consuming animal derived foods.
Okay.
It doesn't have it in there. It's just stating, here's why it's bad.
Okay. And so,
And again, when you look at the IPCC report, even on this, so this is 2018, they
and
just came
then
out
the
with a new
National
IPCC report.
Food, so the National Food Strategy.org,
Okay.
you've read,
That again is plant based.
okay, so
All your studies are going to be plant based. There's not a the sentient
so it's
sentientnews.org.
Plant-based is not referring to your use of plant-based. I hate to break it
It
to you.
is. It's
No,
the World Health Organization's
hold on,
definition.
hold on, dude. No, not everybody when they say plant-based, right? They're not saying 90% plants and then the rest is animals. No, when they're saying no, dude, go to any fucking like certified plant-based food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And read the ingredients. Never is it going to have chicken in the percentage. Never is it going to have milk in the percentage. Never is it going to have any limit of animal product in
you know
there.
who Jess is, don't you? I'm sure you've talked to Jess before, the person from England. And you've talked to VPN, Vegan Postmortem. So in Europe, plant-based does have animal products in it.
Okay.
Just so you know.
In the US, right?
Yeah.
In the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any certified
plant-based is vegan. It's in the United States, plant-based and vegan are interchangeable.
Okay. I wouldn't say they're interchangeable. They just means that they come from plants. Like vegan would also induce the like animal testing process.
Sure.
So I wouldn't say they're interchangeable, but like if you're eating something plant-based, then it is fully sourced from plants, is all that it means.
Yeah. In the United States, when you leave the United States, those things change.
Right, just like margarine changes. Like outside of the US, margarine doesn't have milk in it, but inside the US, margarine does have milk in it. So yeah, but what we're talking about is I almost can guarantee that all these sources of like when they're sourcing plant-based world, they're not saying that this is going to have a select amount of, they're probably going for the US term of plant-based, because every time that
you said Oxford University.
Yeah, and this is the nationalfoodstrategy.org, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here, I'll just post it so you can, like see if you know where you have.
It says plant-based. Yeah, it says plant-based.
Okay. Well, let's just go through it together. Well, let's just do that. Let's just do that. We'll just go through it together, and there you go. This was around the food system on the fork recommendation, but COVID-19 intervened and stuff like that. So yeah, you've read this study, yeah?
Yeah.
So
again, it's talking about taking because they reference Moet in here, Mottet, and she is working. She's a top researcher for the FAO, And so she's mentioned in here, and again, they're talking about stuff from UC Davis, stuff from Cornell, stuff from Texas A&M. Again, what they're talking about is stop feeding livestock our food, human food, and reduce the amount of meat, dairy, and eggs and fish that we consume. It's a reductionist movement. It is not a vegan movement.
Okay. So I would agree that it is a reduction, right? But like, yeah, yeah. So
Correct.
reduction, right?
Plant-based.
Yeah. So you keep on using like the omnivore diet, like it's plant-based, like an omnivore is a plant-based diet.
According to the World Health Organization, I'm using the correct term.
Okay. So, we'll just look up what plant-based is, I guess, just so we can,
Yeah. Look up the World Health Organization term for plant-based. Comes with a PDF file. Because again, like you said, people have different semantics and colloquialisms for plant-based. Here in America, it's something different than, Sicily or wherever you would go. South Africa or wherever,
Okay, and then, God, dude, now I have a bunch of people that want to debate you at the same time. It's, This is kind of why I'm glad that we had the one-on-one. So here's
be heading out.
Yeah, no, I want to cut this short. I want to cut this short. So regardless of which, I want to touch on that. So where we are getting into that, I'll just wrap this up in a very neat little thing without even avoiding studies. Okay, we'll just put this into a logical basis, right? We feed animals. Yes, animals need land.
Correct.
Right? Yes,
yeah, they do.
Animals need land. We feed animals that also require land.
Correct.
So the land that we grow food for, that we give to animals for hay, because we don't have the animals live on the land that we grow the hay, right? We let the hay. You could, but we don't, right? So
not normally, no. It would be cross contamination.
Right. So we grow the land like for hay or for typically we do let them we do let them eat the grass, like we do let them live on the land where they eat. We do let them live on the ground where we grow the grass. So
all cattle and ruminants, they have to be on some sort of natural setting in the beginning of their life, usually the breeding stage, to get that gut flora going on.
Okay, so regardless of which, if we were to subtract livestock, there would be a lot of empty land. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. That empty land is fertile for other sources of food, correct?
No, not necessarily, no. It's mostly marginal land.
Marginal land. Marginal land means that they're like you're simply saying that it is impossible to fertilize said land. We can fertilize.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I saw Matt Damon grow potatoes.
We can fertilize the land. We can fertilize the land. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can fertilize. We can fertilize. We can fertilize any fucking crop, any land to grow crop.
Well, if you're using petrochemical fertilizers, you're going to salinate the soil. So you have that's what is going on in China right now, around like the Gobi regions, where they're trying to
the overuse of artificial like nitrogen fertilization has,
correct.
but like compost fertilization we can use, which is what we're all trying to go towards as farmers. Even today, we're trying to use.
Where would you get the material?
You would agree that even farmers who were feeding the livestock are trying to move towards compost fertilization instead of nitrogen fertilization. Yes or no?
Well, they already do that. I mean, they're already taking
But we are learning from a mistake that was artificial nitrogen fertilization to more like more
organic.
compost fertilization. Yeah, or organic.
No, no, that's not what's going on. In fact, we have never used quite this amount of petrochemical
Okay, so what is the
fertilizer.
reason for the increase of compost? What is the reason for the increase of compost dumps going throughout the country?
There were more individual composting going on, like during the 1950s, or I'm sorry,
There
during
is
the
there is a current increase investment into compost dumps going throughout the country.
I'm sure that.
So what
there
is the
are
reason? What is the reason for that?
places. Well, it's just expansion of human population creates more and more stuff.
It
There's
has
more
nothing to do that we're going to
houses.
use that compost for fertilization.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are more composting creating
So
facilities.
yeah. So
I'm sure
compost
that there are.
fertilization is a development process that we are currently moving towards because
No,
artificial.
not on a monocropping scale. No. Have you ever seen a composting tractor out there spreading compost on fields that are going to get sprayed with non-organic? Non-organic farms usually use green manure and stuff like that. They're not importing in composted materials from municipal dump sites.
Yes,
it's way too
the
expensive.
U.S. is moving toward using more compost fertilizer, driving federal state initiatives, growing market demand of soil-friendly alternatives to conventional fertilizers, and the increased awareness of
Yeah.
composting environmental benefits, including waste reduction of soil health. The legislation has been introduced into federal level, making the compost of a federal funded practice of the USDA offers of programs to boost domesticated production of nutrition, nutrient alternatives like compost. The compost market itself is growing significantly. So therefore, we are going to use compost to fertilize land. So therefore, we can fertilize
municipal compost.
Hold on.
Are they talking about municipal compost?
Hold on. Therefore, therefore, we can fertilize the land that is not able to grow, like currently not able to grow the food that we can sustain ourselves with. We can abstract the animal use. We do not need to use animals.
You hyperinflated a scenario.
We do not need to use animals. We do not need to use animals.
What compost are they
Most
talking about?
organizations even agree that we do not need to use animals. We just currently have to use animals. No, hold on. They're saying in far future we don't need to use animals, but currently we still do. That is most of what organizations will say.
Reductionist. What you're talking about is reductionist.
So why would we reduce? Why would we reduce if there was land that we can't, like, what is the purpose of reduce versus completely cutting out? What is the purpose?
Well,
so reducing would be we continue to reduce all the way up to the point of being in a vegan world. So we reduce currently, right? That's the current initiative, is to reduce what we have currently to then reduce all the way up to a vegan world.
Well, to touch on a previously
reduction is what is going to happen. Reduction is what's going to happen in like the next 10 years or so. But we can.
It's happening now. Reduction.
Right.
I agree with reduction.
Dude, like, I agree with how much animals do you eat a day?
Possibly none on certain days.
Okay, possibly none. On average, throughout the week, how many animals do you eat a day?
I don't know if it's a multitude of animals. I mean, one
How many?
animal could sustain a plant-based person for, a week or a
Okay.
month, a
How
year, two
many times
lifetimes.
do you have animal-based foods in your meals?
Again, this depends upon availability, but there are multiple, uh, consecutive days where I don't have any animal product at all.
Okay.
And then there are some where I have, some animal products and some not, some meat, some not.
How many
It just
animals
depends
do
on
you
what's
kill
happening.
within a month?
Again, these things have to do with
Just, dude, I know you. If
time.
you're a farmer, I know
There's
you.
harvesting time.
If you're a farmer,
Mhm.
you do put these into a spreadsheet, right? If you're a functional farmer, you do have these things in your like papers of how
No,
often. Yeah, dude, you have to keep track of your stock.
not the scale I am. Not at the scale
So
I am.
you
No.
don't keep track of your stock.
It's so in front of me, because at one point in time we're going to have a little over 100, chicken poultries, and then it ebb and it flows. I mean, I don't need to keep track of. The only thing I keep track of is like dates in the freezer or HACCP times and temperatures. I mean, but other than that, I'm not really keeping track of, um, you know, potential product margins and all that kind of stuff. It's, how many dozen egg did I sell? How many whole chickens or partial whole, chickens or whatever, or duck or rabbit or something like that, or quail or snails, or we don't do fish anymore. I used to have blue tilapia, so I completely stopped doing that.
Okay,
But
so let's just
no, I
put out a
mean,
rough
no,
estimate
I'm not.
then.
I'm not
So
butchering every
you
day. There are times to butcher and there are times not to.
sure, like I
Uh,
wouldn't say even a slaughterhouse butchers every day unless you're an industrial slaughterhouse, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah,
Like
correct. You're talking about like a small abattoir, and that's kind of
yeah, so
what we
what I'm
reflect.
saying on average through the like a month or even a quarter or even a year,
Mhm.
how often do
Mhm.
you kill? How often do you
Well,
kill in
again,
a year? Like let's put days.
not every day. Not every day. So like a
Would you
kill
say
day for
like once a week? Would you say once a month?
no,
Would you say
no, not even. Like a few. We usually have like kill times about like 6 times out of a year.
6 times out of a
So
year? So
yeah,
once a quarter.
uh, well, potentially,
Okay.
but these things are so much different. There's harvest times, and it's like how do you
We'll
harvest
just
corn every
we'll
day?
just make it simple and say once a quarter.
Corn takes 110 days to mature, so you're not harvesting corn every day. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying once a quarter, right? Um,
Potentially, sure. I mean, whatever helps you to, accumulate
well, yeah,
these things and put them in
I
order.
have a business oriented mind, so sometimes I think
Right.
in
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, I do think
No,
in
no, no. I mean, there's grow out times, and then there's times,
yeah.
and again, it has to do with like
So what I'm
time of year.
saying, right? Like even if you're
Hmm.
like so you're saying that you even significantly don't have that significant amount of animals, right?
Correct.
So
I mean, it's just a few,
so
hundred here
therefore
and there.
you would not starve to death if you were to subtract those animals out of your life and you were to replace the food with edible crop.
Well, I couldn't. Again, the land is marginal, and I can't alter the
You
land. I
can
can't cut down trees.
fertilize the land, dude.
Okay, well, I can pour as much fertilizer as I want to, but you're talking about like a tree line. That's where I keep most of my livestock because the
You will have
canopy keeps
money
it
to
cool.
fertilize the land if you're not spending
Money
money.
from where?
If
Okay,
you're not
let's
spending
fertilize.
money, dude, look, this is a business mind, right? You're using
No,
money to buy livestock, right? You're
no,
doing
not necessarily. No, they self-replicate.
you're using money to keep the livestock alive.
Not very much. I mean, again, we get a lot of so we use like uh, brewery grain silage. We use very inexpensive. The only thing that I really buy in is corn.
The land that you hold on.
The rental, yeah.
So hold on. You just said that you use very little food from fertilization. Your not fertilization. Sorry, for food that you use for the animals to keep them alive, right?
Correct.
So that very little that food that you use that is cost very little money,
little cost.
yeah, very little cost, right? That same food
It's a
you
massive
could use.
amount of food.
Hold on, that massive amount of food you could use to compost and to use for fertilizer.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I could just use their manure.
Yeah, which is essentially compost, like
it's identical.
Yeah, it's So,
but the only thing
what I'm
between
saying,
compost and livestock
so
manure
you're just
is
talking about alternatives now. You're just talking about alternatives now. Like alternative to compost is feces.
What food do you get from compost? What food do you get from compost?
You can get any food from compost. You can compost soil and grow any fucking plant that you can from fertilized soil.
Okay. So you have plants, make compost, and then I use compost to grow more plants. Whereas with animal agriculture, I can take plant waste, make animal, and then take animal waste and make plant, and then it's self-loop.
But when you use plants as compost and grow plants and eat plants, you aren't killing a sentient being who has.
Correct.
Yeah. So therefore, you ought to use plants.
I'm making less food with the amount of space that I have, but I'm not killing sentient beings. That's the trade-off.
Yeah, but it's gonna be enough food to feed yourself, because animals.
But that's not the point of it. The point of it
every
is
chicken. You said
money.
you said that you have to. Oh, okay, so that's what it comes down to. It's not about feeding people. It's about making money.
It's not about feeding myself. It's about
making
clothing.
And it's about making money. Yeah, it's about making money.
It is about making money. Yeah.
Okay.
You said you're business oriented.
Yeah. So therefore, your justification is money. That is the reason.
Correct. Just like if I worked at a petrochemical.
So your justification for slavery is money. That would be the same justification.
Slaves involved.
Hold on. But that would be the same exact justification for a human slave owner is money.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Does not justify the atrocity.
It does to me. It definitely does, and it does to 8.2 billion people.
We have a very different fundamental difference at this point.
Oh, starvation.
I do have to go. I do have to go.
Okay.
I have other stuff to attend to, and we've been talking for 3 hours. But I do I do appreciate this time, and you have a good one.
You as well. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was fucking ridiculous. So yeah, money is the justification for slavery. Money. But it should not be. That is what it comes down to. We got down to the point that he doesn't really care about sustainability. He doesn't really care about the feeding people. He cares about the money. That is to the root cause of said thing is money. So therefore, with all these studies that people were throwing at me, this is something that I want to talk to my fellow vegans. All these studies that we were going into, this was all a waste of time to get into a study battle with him, because he doesn't care about the studies. He cares about the money. Okay? He doesn't care about these studies that you all were trying to throw at me. He cares about the money. And that is the root thing that we need to focus on. This whole last point, this 3 hours, has little to do with anything. He cares about the money. So therefore, that is why throwing studies at this man is a waste of time. Because he doesn't care. He cares about the money. That is what I was trying to get. That is the whole point that I was trying to get at. This wasn't trying to be a study battle. This wasn't trying to be, I am right, I am wrong. I do know that we can make a, like, it is obvious that we can make a vegan world happen, but he will not make the money. So therefore, don't waste time on debating him whether he could really, what it comes down to is we should have gone down to, you can still make money off of other sources of income, right? That's it. That's the main point, is you can have alternatives. We can move to a vegan world, and therefore we ought to. If you are to debate him, go for the slavery tactic. Do not go for any studies. Go for slavery tactics. We have made an anti-slavery world work. We do not have slaves currently on a human level. So we ought to make it work. Don't waste time doing studies against him. We have already made an anti-exploitation world work before, and now we just continue it on to non-human animals. And that's the whole principle. So that is my advice to any vegan who wants to debate REDWILD. Because these whole studies, these whole fucking things of environment, he doesn't care about the environment. He's not advocating on an environment. These are tools to use against us to make us look stupid. But if you just like are stupid like me, because I'm a bottom tier vegan, let's just say I'm stupid, right? I'm just a bottom tier fucking vegan. So it doesn't matter, because you don't have to be fucking smart to know that we can make a vegan world happen. And that's that. You don't have to be smart to be a vegan. You don't have to be smart to advocate for a vegan world. And that is not a thing that we should be telling people that has to happen. You do not have to be smart to make a vegan world happen. It is very easy to make a vegan world happen. That is all I got for now. I love you all, unless you're not vegan. And if you're vegan, you're a basic ass bitch. Don't be basic, be vegan. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.